Hello, everybody. Our mics are live now.
Oh, shit.
Hope everyone's doing all right this evening.
That was a close one.
Oh, no.
Oh, look at that. I'm on a camera, too.
Yep. They could see you.
Stream elements.
You can't see me.
I'm looking right at you.
Time is up. The time is now.
Okay.
Wait, that song has lyrics?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't make me mad, Christian. I'm on.
You won't like him when he's mad.
I already had to listen to Dan Riker, like, be a thermos denier for like 30 minutes today.
I still don't understand what his problem is.
I don't know.
He totally. Okay, so sometimes it's a work, sometimes it's not.
I tell you what. As soon as he brought out the plastic bottle, I was like, well, this.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, okay.
So
You're not that
the thermos
dumb.
one, he didn't know at first. It wasn't a work at first. He realized
but
it
now
pretty
he's playing
quickly,
it
and
up.
now it's 100% a work.
Yeah.
The
now people
him
not knowing that.
him saying that Gorons are not made of rock, not a work. He still
Not a
thinks
work.
that.
That'll work.
Well, you had to believe that, though.
Yeah, well,
That's a
I
belief.
deep down,
That's
I
not
believe-
a fact.
It was really frustrating because literally the day before I talked to a Goron in Tears of the Kingdom, was like, yeah, we were just born among all these rocks. We came out of the rocks, and I came alive. That came alive
That doesn't
there.
mean they're made of rock.
It does.
You don't
Actually,
see a
they're made
female
of rock.
Goron, huh? They are just
A bunch of rock
Maybe
boys.
they're like-
asexual
Maybe
rock
they're like
boys.
bugs. Listen to me. Maybe they're like bugs that they're like they live under the rocks.
No,
You
the
misinterpret
rocks.
That.
Oh shit.
Maybe you should.
They're
stupid.
the inverse of the Gerudo. We don't really question their reproduction, all right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gerudo and Goron should fuck.
Yeah.
There you go.
Everyone, 100 years, Ganondorf shows up and fucks all the rocks and makes more baby Gorons. Okay,
Yeah.
we're looking good.
Yeah, well, that happened. So, hello,
Gang, gang.
everybody. How's it
Ice
going?
cream's so good.
Happy Friends Day. It's Friends Day in Argentina, so happy Friends Day to y'all.
Happy Friends Day to you too.
Wow, I wish I had any friends here to wish Happy Friends Day
Oh,
to.
I know. That's such a shame.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow, that hurt.
Okay.
Funny
I
boy.
think we can test the music. Turn that up.
Every time people say Goro, I should think of Goro.
Yeah, forearms.
That's
yeah.
looking good. You guys probably didn't hear that actually. Now that I'm
No, we
thinking about
didn't.
it.
No.
Nope.
Let's go to
The
Yoxler.
Glaxler. What we're gonna do
Everyone's
with
favorite piece
the
of
once
hardware.
the what we're gonna do once the shit becomes completely obsolete.
I'm going to
We
make
can hear
work
that.
by me a Roadcaster Pro. Is what I'm going to
Hell
do.
yeah.
Did you?
Holy shit! That's like
Yeah, but
what?
I need it to do my job. What's up, Mike?
Never mind. Nothing.
Okay.
Jesus, that shit is expensive.
It's like 700-ish.
It's the pro
God
version.
damn, brother.
Listen, that's for what companies spend. It's a drop in the yeah, it's expensive, but I do need it. Honestly, it's like if you think about how many times per year I would use it, it's like dollars a day. Okay. I think I'm gonna
Yes.
tweet.
Tweet.
You know what? You are right.
I should blue sky also. People like when I blue sky.
Skeeted.
If
For
people
the
like
love
when I
of God.
skeet. Skeet, motherfucker.
I do like blue sky.
I really like blue sky. So I can...
And I really hate Twitter now.
Well, I mean, I've hated
Well.
Twitter for a while, but I'm still stuck with it.
Oh,
so-
yesterday, yesterday I saw like a motherfucker tweeting like a video of him like, I expanded with AI these classical movies to
Yeah,
like
I know,
their
I
portrait
know.
mode, and every fucking response of a blue bash is like, "This is so touching." Like it feels like
Touching.
I'm, it feels like I'm in the scene with them. Cinema should look like this all the time. Like you deserve.
No
They
rights.
deserve the
Even-
gruel they'll get.
I can't even say like it's like in these walls of blue badges just being like, oh, this is so great. Like in the past Twitter back in the day, somebody would like roast that motherfucker so fucking hard that the guy should like just has to like close his Twitter account because people will like make fun of him so fucking much. Nowadays, it's the worst. Bring back bullying. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, of course. We need it more now
need
more
to
than ever.
Except you can't really bully an adult.
Yeah, because adult can just walk away.
It's what he needs to tell himself because he gets bullied all the time.
I mean, does that make sense? Because wouldn't I want to complain if I was being bullied and say bullying should be wrong? I think it's because I
Denial.
bully other people.
Jeff
Yes.
actually has
True.
an incredibly thick skin and a ton of patience. So he is like the most immune
I miss
to
the
bullying
old-
person
Yeah,
I know.
it's like the
I miss
really
the old
lightweight
Jeff.
stuff that gets to me where I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that to hurt. What the hell?
I miss the old chef.
Oh, really?
The
Yeah.
one that will like respond to the tweets.
Oh
They
no,
tell people to fuck off.
that Jeff had to die. I took that Jeff out back and drowned him.
Oh no, that chef just resonated so
All right,
hard.
ready? It's 9:10.
All right, I'm gonna count us in, Mike. Yeah, I'm assuming that means you're good to go. I got to hit the record button. There it is. In 5, 4, 3. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Game Mess Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb, and with me is...
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, Blizzard games are on Steam, Xbox and PlayStation kiss and make up, and the end of Xbox Live Gold. But first, I want to thank you all for joining us. Mike, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I'm on this staycation, and it's nice, I guess.
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
never.
know.
It's because you have all these
Well, what do you
plans, right?
imagine?
All these machinations.
Yes, exactly.
And then it's like it takes
Thursday.
like one domino to fall, where it's like, oh, I didn't get as much done today as I thought I was going to get, for it all to fall apart.
Right. I'm like, oh, I'm going to really clean up my house, and I'm going to cook this giant brisket I have and play Final Fantasy 16. Somehow done none of that. I've mostly kind of just like slept and played Diablo 4 while watching things is what I've really
I mean,
done.
it's a beautiful life you live, but I understand what you mean. I mean, that always happens to me. We're planning a trip, and Steph is like doing the itinerary. That's the kind of person she is, and I'm like, hey, awesome. I'll support you in whatever you need to help make that happen, because I'm not good at that kind of stuff. So it is nice to a degree, but it's also like, oh, it's cool to just have a bunch of stuff to do, and when we check that stuff off a list, it'll feel satisfying, and then that'll be good. Things will go wrong. We'll just have to roll with the punches, but it's still nice to like, oh, we'll be here then. We have tickets for this thing, so we have to go. And then when we get home, it's like, well, we did all those fun things. That was great. It felt like we did a bunch of stuff. It's going to be exhausting and tiring, but I'm kind of looking forward to that kind of vacation right now. So yes, staycation will probably come eventually, but even then, I know it's going to be exactly the same. It really, with staycations, if all you do is get a bunch of sleep, you got to consider that a win.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like next time I almost want to go somewhere, even if I'm not doing anything, just like act, because I don't actually feel like I'm on vacation. I don't. So I don't know. It's fine. I mean, I'm definitely glad to have the break. Maybe I'm just also so Disney rotted that to me a vacation means getting up far earlier than I usually do.
Yeah.
to tire myself out way more than I usually do, to be outside more than I usually am, to like do a bunch of things. Maybe that is just actually how I like to vacation. Maybe to me, that is more unusual than my life of sitting inside by a computer too much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you kind of break up the flow a little bit. I don't know. Well, maybe we'll go to something fun this weekend, and we can like break it up a little bit, and that'll be good.
See.
We'll see.
If you're in the Cleveland greater area, maybe you could stop. Well, I mean, I don't think that's be a secret, but I'm trying to go to this classic console and arcade gaming show on Saturday in North Brunswick, which is kind of near Cleveland, starting at noon that day. So yeah, I'm going to go. I'm just trying to figure out exactly when and what the logistics are, and we can probably meet up there. So that'd be fun. I think spending too much money on GameCube games is just what I need to get out of my funk.
That's the way to do it. All right, you can get more from Mike and me by joining the Discord at GameMess.net. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening, and hit that like button on YouTube. It helps people find the show while we're live. If you want to ask a question, you could drop a super chat during the show here on YouTube. We'll answer all those before the evening is through. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme songs. Thanks to 1UP versus CPU for the artwork you're seeing all around us. You can find more of them at oneupversuscpu.com. We are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to our mods, and support us by going to patreon.com/GameMess, which gets you access to the private channels in our Discord, the monthly Q&A, 1 month early access to our Jeopardy games, participation in our monthly game club discussions, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. All right, Mike, I got some news to talk about. You ready to get into it?
Yeah.
Let's start here with Blizzard's games are coming to Steam starting in August with Overwatch 2.
Whoa. Question. Who wrote this incredibly elaborate description for the podcast today? What is all this?
I did that.
You do? Do you always do that?
No, that was the first time I've done that in a while.
Wow. So you didn't like my one sentence about what we were talking about this time, huh?
I did like that, but I was like, I wrote it after I did this rundown, and so I'm like, some of these things we might not talk about, so let's just put it here, and then if we do get those other things, then great. But I did like it.
I was I guess, thanks, I guess.
Yeah, you're welcome, I guess.
What a relationship we have.
Blizzard's games are coming to Steam starting in August with Overwatch 2. Blizzard will release a selection of its PC games on Steam, starting with Overwatch 2 on August 10th. Blizzard president Mike Ibarra said this is in response to player demand, and Valve boss Gabe Newell said it will benefit both gamers and developers. Mike, you are the person I know who spends more time maybe on Battle.net than on Steam.
Yes.
What do you think about this?
I think this is driven by a multitude of factors, like the imminent sell to Microsoft. That's very interesting. I think it's just like the first thing I thought of was when you told Bacalar that his Jewish family having a Christmas tree was a cultural victory from Civ. This seems like some kind of victory condition in civilization to me.
It really does.
I think another factor here, and why Overwatch 2 is first, is because that game has been not doing the numbers it's supposed to, and there is probably a bit of a hope that putting this on Steam is going to help increase the player numbers for that game and get more people potentially buying its terrible microtransactions.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to look at it through that lens. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of other stuff that's lining up as this deal with Microsoft gets ready to close. Like, Microsoft's making a bunch of moves. We'll talk a little bit about those things here in a second. But so yeah, I think you're right that probably is a little bit of a motivating factor. But I think the biggest one is what you said: Overwatch 2 in a rough spot. What do you do with the game like that? Well, you make it very easily accessible to people who might have been Overwatch curious, but now have a real chance to go in and check it out. I cannot remember. Is Overwatch 2 free to play?
Yes, it is. It is free to play. That was like a big point of what they did. But it's free to play with a pretty aggressive monetization thing in terms of you need the battle pass to get the heroes earlier and things like that. I don't know. It's just you get way fewer cosmetics for free than you used to in the old system. Now, of course, you had to pay $40 to own the game before, but you would get those loot boxes and, you would get cosmetics there. If you got duplicates, you get a currency so you can buy the cosmetics you want. Now you get some from a battle pass, which was the slowest battle pass to complete I had ever seen in a video game, or you just buy them directly from the store. And it was where, all these other issues that game has had with the 5 versus 5 instead of 6 versus 6 still being a controversial and unpopular move. And also the cancellation basically of the PvE co-op mode that was supposed to be a core pillar of this game, still an incredibly sore spot with people. So yeah, I think it's a lot of people. I mean, look, and also it's just, since it's not very different from Overwatch 1, not everyone's going to play Overwatch for their entire lives.
Yep.
Right? At some point, a lot of people are going to stop, and they have. And what was going to maybe bring them back? Maybe something big like a giant new co-op mode, but we're not getting that. So what are you going to do instead to drive up those monthly active users? Something like this, I guess.
Yeah, it's it feels like the kind of thing where people do realize that, like, yeah, Steam has won that cultural victory. They are just sitting back and like broadcasting their usefulness, like that. They are not being aggressive and going out and pulling people in, although maybe they are. Maybe they had conversations. I know they had conversations with EA about Apex Legends and stuff like that. But I think that served more of us of a reminder of like, hey, it seems to make sense that Apex Legends should be on Steam. Maybe Valve did the same thing with Overwatch. I wouldn't be surprised though if Activision approached Steam or Valve and was like, hey, we would really like this to be on here. But like Valve's just been sitting back, making Steam as useful as possible. And then companies like Activision Blizzard are saying, oh, man, we have these games that need as many players as possible. And we've tapped out everything we can do without like a major rework of what this game is or how it works, which probably is still coming, or not still coming. That probably will happen again with Overwatch as they sort of reassess all the changes they made and maybe do some backpedaling, I mean, especially in terms of that monetization. But in the meantime, an easy thing to do is put it on Steam, where there's a lot of people who are very used to playing big online free-to-play shooters. And that there's an audience on Steam, and they will probably give this game a shot. I wonder if it's like the kind of thing where it'll get a shot, and if it's not in the best state, maybe people will just glance over it and not come back to it. Or maybe it'll like have multiple opportunities to win people over being on Steam. Who knows? I mean, the obvious question, Mike, is does World of Warcraft come to Steam?
Yeah, that one still feels weird for some reason, but it's, like why not at this point? If you're kind of pulling this cord here, right? You're pulling that hair, just go for it at that point. Why restrict anything? There's probably going to be a little bit of wait and see how many people do start flooding into Overwatch 2. It is weird because Battle.net was like this one that always seemed slightly untouchable because it's like the one that predates Steam for one thing. Or just about, I think, as a launcher, or at least as a service, as
even
a
if
brand.
it's not, it's like they kind of came up at the same time. Like basically, it predates Steam as we know it today.
Right. So that's weird. My real question is like, do we ever live in a world where Fortnite is on Steam, or do we ever actually just get to just straight up actually everything is on Steam again?
I mean, I don't want to say that world's impossible, but that would have Epic has said Steam would have to drop their split to like 1288, like instead of 7030. So, and it doesn't seem like Valve is going to make that move. They have made some changes to their split, but they haven't done that. So I don't know. It seems like Fortnite is probably pretty immune to this, but you're right. There could be a time in the future where Fortnite is looking for that boost, and coming to Steam would help even Fortnite. I really believe that. It would even help Fortnite.
But that, I guess that is kind of the point, though, that almost makes it seem desperate, because you were not, if you're Blizzard, there are now these Overwatch 2 players. Well, maybe they are going to just play that game on Steam now. And does that mean any microtransaction that they make on Steam that used to just be money that all just straight went to Activision? Well, now Steam's getting a cut of that?
Yes. I mean, but I think that shows just like what is more important, to own 100% of the transaction or to get access to people who are spending money. And it turns out in the end, having access to people who are spending money is more important, and it's very hard to get those people to move to your service if they're already doing that somewhere else. It's basically impossible to get them to do that. You can give them free games like Epic's been doing, and they are still really not actually getting people to change their behaviors and how they spend money. It is so difficult to pull off. So Yeah, they give up 30%. Well, with Overwatch, it'll be 20% eventually because once you reach $100 million spent on your game on Steam, Valve switches the take to 2080. So, they'll get to that probably pretty quickly. Maybe even, who knows? Valve might be giving them that split right out of the gate because for Valve, having Overwatch 2, yet another big free-to-play shooter on Steam, is beneficial. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case, but I also wouldn't be surprised if that, no, just get to 100 million, you'll be fine. You'll get there in no time. That'll happen in like a year or two, or not even. So yeah, I don't know. I just think that for Blizzard, this you're right to call it desperate because it does feel a little bit desperate for Overwatch specifically, a game that we know is in a precarious position, a game that we can tell they are reconsidering in many ways. They are pulling the plug. Not completely on the Overwatch League, but the Overwatch League as we know it is getting completely reshaped because they're like, we're either going to shut this thing down or we're going to let the teams vote on changing how we're going to operate, which sounds like a lot less money for everyone involved. So what's even the point? So yeah, I think they are rethinking every possible thing about it. And that means that obviously led them to Steam, which makes some sense.
Remember when Overwatch was like the most celebrated game in the world? And it seems like every major decision that they had to make after launch, okay, we're going to focus really big on the esports scene of this thing. And then this Overwatch 2 thing, just in retrospect, 2 bad decisions.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at the time we were kind of all yelling like, why are you paying so much attention to the esports scene and the competitive stuff? But then they invested big on Overwatch League and people were paying $20 million for Overwatch League franchises. And it was, okay, I guess, how am I supposed to argue this? I guess this is a real thing, but it never really felt real. And I think in the end, it's like, no, it wasn't. A lot of it was marketing and excitement. And that's all there was to it. And here we are back to reality. And Overwatch is now just yet another shooter, just like any of these other ones. And I think it's a little bit, boy, that was a time and place, huh? We got to live in that world where Overwatch really was the most important shooter and was the game of the year and all these things. And now it is struggling like so many of these other live service games struggle. And I guess, in the past, it would have just been like, yeah, that's an old game. We move on from old games. Like that's how it goes. I paid $60 for that. I paid $50 for that game. I played it for a while and then I played the next one. And now with these live service games, they do get to a point where it's like they're supposed to be relevant, but they struggle to remain relevant. And right. So it's like it's this weird, long, slow death that makes it feel really awkward and kind of bad. And it almost taints the memories of the game a little bit.
Yeah, that is the weird thing about it. Like, because Overwatch 1 was definitely a game that I loved. If you ask me, like, while I was playing, like, yeah, this is one of the best games ever. This is one of my favorite games of all time. But it's like, I can't really play that Overwatch anymore. And it just doesn't feel like that Overwatch exists to me. So I'm like, well, what are my feelings in Overwatch now? Perception is so much reality. And I don't know if this is on your rundown, but, we also have Diablo 4 had this giant launch, making a ton of money. And already that community is kind of like mad and pissed off about things. And like, yeah, they have reasons to be. But, I play the game and I'm like, I still find this fun. But it's almost like what happened with Halo Infinite, where everyone else is mad. So somehow that's like leeching into me. Yep. It's not making me mad, but like putting the vibes off.
Yep.
In a weird way. And also, which is just, and that stuff is so important that I am just shocked that Blizzard released the patch that they did for Diablo 4. Your first major patch was so much nerfing and making things slower and harder, which, if you're going to nerf or do that kind of stuff, it better be because the community is outright saying, hey, this thing is a problem. This needs to be nerfed. To just go in and I am a sorceress, and to say, hey, we're going to nerf sorcerer/sorceress, even though
they're already
everyone
underpowered.
agrees it's the worst class in the game. It's like, man, you better have a really good reason for doing that. Or actually, there isn't a good enough reason. Even if you are like, well, our data contradicts them, it doesn't matter at that point because you cannot afford to make the community this miserable, because then everything starts to annoy them, right? It's like when you have that roommate and all of a sudden like a switch flips and every little thing like oh, they turned the toilet paper around, or like, oh, they moved this my piece of paper over here. Everything starts pissing you off. Like you go to the Diablo 4 Reddit this thing now, and that's what it is now. And I think some people, I saw someone chatting say the patch stuff is blown up proportion. I think it is a bit also, but it's also why you just don't be incredibly careful with this stuff. Don't nerf things right before your big update when your game is new. Don't give people a reason to turn sour.
Yep, it is. You got. I mean, take your time with these things. Test them out for longer. Be sure before you do. Like, everyone was mostly happy with Diablo 4, is how it felt. I of course I heard some complaints. Those complaints were like, oh, I don't know if I want to be in this in game for as long as it's like I've already played 100 hours. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's not really that much of a problem. That's something they could probably deal with. Now it just feels like the narrative has completely changed, completely shifted, and gone really bad on them in an instant. And I really don't know if they have anyone to blame but themselves over at Blizzard. So
I think they felt a little rushed to make the changes they wanted to because Season 1 was coming out today. No matter what, it's like, well, we have to have a patch. Like, oh, what do we think is going to be best for the game? And maybe they weren't able to think about it or test it as much as they should have. Maybe they just shouldn't have made any big changes then. I don't know. It's weird.
In the meantime, Microsoft and Activision reportedly negotiating deal extension as deadline nears. This is, that story is never going to end. It feels like here it is yet again getting extended. Microsoft and Activision negotiating an extension to their merger agreement, which expired on July 18th. If the deal falls through, Microsoft would have to pay $3 billion for a termination fee, but instead they have pushed it out to October 18th, and that's the new final date. If it falls through by then, or at that point, they'd have to pay. It seems like that's probably not going to happen. The only thing standing in the way at this time is the UK's CMA, which is the equivalent of their FTC, and they are having conversations right now to submit a new agreement from Microsoft to the CMA to see if they can get approval. And the CMA says it needs to run, research and studies on the new agreement, the new proposal from Microsoft, but they will probably do that a little bit quicker, and this will probably go through. And while all that is happening, just everything else, it seems like Microsoft is lining up everything else. That includes a commitment from PlayStation to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation systems for the next 10 years. This is a binding commitment, legally binding, so they're going to have to stick to it. I don't know. We've talked this thing to death, Mike.
Did you see the other development a couple hours ago?
I don't know. Maybe not. I've been kind of busy. What's up?
The FTC officially hitting the brakes.
I did not see that. No. Let's take a look. So did they...
From Kat Bailey at IGN, the FTC hits the brakes on Xbox's Activision Blizzard merger trial set for August. With its prospects of blocking Xbox's Activision Blizzard merger dimming, the FTC is hitting the brakes on its trial scheduled for August, blah, blah, blah. So... I mean, I didn't read this intensely. I saw a little bit of the chatter on Twitter, but it seems like maybe the FTC is done. Yeah, maybe they are finally like waving the white flag here a little bit.
So yeah, in the last week and a half, we might have talked about this in some of our other podcasts, but just a quick recap. FTC lost its case for the preliminary injunction to halt the deal while they had a case happening in August. Then they appealed that to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. That court also denied the motion. So the FTC was like, okay, well, we're going to go through with the thing in August. And in the meantime, Microsoft and Activision requested that the FTC basically shut down the case and not go through with it. And that felt like, oh, that's probably not going to work. It sounds like the FTC is like, this is maybe a chance to bow out a little bit more gracefully than what probably would have happened in August, which would have not gone their way. And it would have been especially embarrassing because the trial in August was going to happen basically in FTC's own court. Like they have their own judge, and even that judge was probably not going to side with them. And so that would have been especially embarrassing for an organization.
It's like the Harlem Globetrotters losing a game.
Exactly, losing at home. And it's
always home for them.
That's right, exactly. The FTC has been facing scrutiny, from a lot of Republicans on Capitol Hill, and it's like, well, whatever. They're always going to be against a democratically led FTC, but they probably don't want the headache of another loss in the headlines or something like that. So that makes some sense. The FTC was all like, this deal was going to go through in the United States no matter what at this point because they were going to be able to close it before the FTC was going to be able to do anything about it.
Weren't you saying on Game this morning something about like Joe Biden and the FTC had new regulations or something for these guys? Yeah,
there was yesterday the White House and the FTC put out new guidance on mergers in the United States, and it's a list of new rules. And it's like a few dozen things, a few dozen points, bullet points, and it's things like mergers cannot continue a trend toward consolidation in an industry, and things along those lines.
Do you think this was in response to those rumors about Apple buying Disney? Do you think that's what that's about?
I think it's about all of this stuff. I think it's about this case they just lost. I think it's about big companies like that. Yes, I think
could that actually happen? That seems actually sinister and weird. That
Apple
seems too
has
big.
enough money to do anything.
Well, I don't have enough money to do it, but
Legally?
it seems bizarre that Disney was able to just buy a million things and then all of a sudden be like, oh, stuff, and then get sold for $1 trillion.
Legally, Apple would probably get close. It would be tough. The problem is it's a vertical merger, not a horizontal merger, and horizontal mergers are like if Activision bought EA, like that would be difficult. Apple it does make some content, but Apple is a hardware manufacturer, a computer hardware manufacturer, buying an entertainment company, and that's vertical. And they would probably, according to the old rules, they would probably be able to get away with it. So I think, the FTC looking at that, they probably are considering that one feels so off. And go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's just incredible that Disney could have 20 years of just ridiculous, on top of the worldness everywhere. And, things go bad for a year. And it's just well, I guess game over.
Yeah. Yep. Isn't that it's
excited.
insane?
I was like, oh, good. I'm glad Disney's going to get taken down a peg. Maybe they'll just be be mediocre for a while. That's not even allowed anymore.
No, it's not. It is not allowed. It is, investor revolts would happen, and you'd have these investors who would come and try to take over and do hostile takeovers and try to get the board usurped and all these things, and it would just be this whole mess. And it's not allowed.
Here's my question, because I'm not necessarily as so pro bono, so excited to say capitalism is better as you are.
Sure.
I think the stock market thing, I don't know what you call that, is bad. Is that inherently tied to capitalism? Can't we have a capitalism without this whole ridiculous you could buy shares in a company thing?
Right. So I think what you're looking for is what is the tool that makes most of this stuff go around? That's the good part of it. And that is markets. You can have markets without all of this, a lot of this other stuff.
Radicalize me, Jeff. Do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There are markets are a tool. They're not magic. It's not the visible hand of the market. It's not magic. It is a good tool for accomplishing the means or the ends of. We have a limited amount of resources. What is the best way to distribute those resources? Well, a market is a good way of doing that, and you don't even have to have money involved with that. There are food banks. They're we have 5,000 pounds of canned corn, and we want to exchange this to someone else. And instead of just being someone calling someone up, be I have a bunch of corn, I want to just exchange it for your rice or whatever. What they do is they put it up on a market there, and they exchange it for points with other food banks, and this enables them to efficiently distribute this stuff. Markets are very good. Once you start getting into financial tools about moving money around and all these other, and capitalism and always having to grow, that is inherently tied to capitalism, and that is not going. Yeah, that is the poison that poisons everything else. Absolutely, we can't just be, even. Everything has to get bigger, and then if they don't get bigger for a couple years in a row, it's well, it's time to sell, exit, everyone freak out, and that's what's happening with a lot of these big companies.
Incredible.
Okay, let's see here.
JD Camp said, I had a 3DO growing up. I'm an elite. Quiet, JD Camp. Just jealous. You're just jealous that I got to play Mad Dog McCree while you were stuck with. Did they even have on games on the Super Nintendo? I don't know. Oh, you're stuck with Yoshi's Safari.
Yeah, Yoshi's Safari. That's the game of the people.
Johnny Rock, baby.
The game of the proletariat.
That's right. Exactly. That's the pleb game.
Xbox Live Gold is being discontinued and replaced with Xbox Game Pass Core. Xbox Live Gold is being replaced by Xbox Game Pass Core on September 14th for $10 per month or $60 per year. Same price as Xbox Live Gold. It includes online multiplayer gaming, a library of 25 plus games that are a selection of Xbox Game Pass games, and exclusive membership deals. Gold ends September 1st. Xbox 360 games redeemed via Games with Gold will remain in players' libraries, but otherwise, Games with Gold is coming to an end. This feels like mostly a lateral move. It feels like rebranding more than anything else.
This is something you said was going to happen a long time ago. This is one that Xbox Killer would bring up. Like, you said Games with Gold was going away.
Yep.
And then he would like say something for 2 more months before accidentally saying something like snobbish or racist.
Exactly. Yeah, this was always on the roadmap. They were looking for a way to do it and make it make sense. I don't know if it makes a lot of sense right now, Mike, because
Okay. Yeah.
because the online multiplayer is included in this at $10 per month. If you go up to $11 per month, then you don't get online multiplayer, but you do get full Game Pass. It's weird. I don't know how Microsoft can really make that feel like it makes sense.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, is it because they're increasing the price of Game Pass soon, and they're going to sneak that in by having a $15 Game Pass plus online multiplayer tier?
Like, maybe that's like yet another tier, right? So I don't know.
You get rid of this hard tier. I don't know. Yeah, it's because when I first looked at it, I was like, okay, this makes sense. I didn't realize that $11, $12, whatever Game Pass tier doesn't have.
Game Pass console is what it's called. Xbox Game Pass console. Yes,
it's a weird name for the tier.
Yep.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Seems overly complicated. I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks it's kind of wild, so that you have to pay for the privilege to play your video games online on these services. That seems like a relic of the 360
it was
era.
100% a grift. It is.
Yeah, it's a grift.
It is them. The moment like PlayStation was like announcing all these, $400 PlayStation, you got to pay for online multiplayer now, and everyone's cheering because it's like they're all excited about the console, and not realizing like they're going to end up paying way more in the long run because now you have to pay for online multiplayer. But they got away with it. These companies are not going to give that back.
Yeah, not at all. So we're kind of stuck with it. And if they do give it back, it's going to be some desperate reason. I don't know. It's bizarre. It seems strange, but I'm not too sad about Xbox Live Gold going away per se. I'm not going to miss those free games. I never redeemed them anymore. And that list of free games you just get is probably good enough for most people. There's a lot of good games in there. So whatever, that's fine at least.
At the end, it really feels like those lower tiers only exist to remind you why you should get Ultimate. Because if you think about it, if you get Xbox Game Pass console, because you only have an Xbox, you don't have a PC, and you're like, okay, but I also want to play some of these games online multiplayer, so then I'm going to get Xbox Live Gold as well. Well, you were already paying more than Ultimate, so why not just get Ultimate? But now it's like you don't even have that option at that point, because you're going to have to get one of these other tiers that does have online multiplayer involved. So you can't stay on Xbox Game Pass console no matter what if you want online multiplayer. So it's just like, I guess I'm just going up to Ultimate now, which of course most people probably made that decision naturally because it was cheaper. But it's like, now Microsoft's just like kind of moving people up that tier in a more, I guess, somewhat more friendly way. But it is very confusing. And as people in chat are pointing out, you could look at the dates and figure out what's happening here. This is lining up with the launch of Starfield. They must feel, I bet that game is tracking strongly enough at this point that they're like, any big changes we're making, we need to make right now, because when Starfield is here, that's all anyone's going to talk about, and people are going to do what it takes to play that game. And we need to make sure that the future of what Xbox Game Pass and Xbox as an ecosystem looks like needs to be established now. And then as we bring in all the Activision stuff, it can fit in wherever it needs to fit in. That sounds right to me. And Starfield probably is going to be that big.
I'm really excited for Starfield.
Yeah, every time I like.
That was one of the most effective showcases for a video game I've ever seen.
I'm 100%
at one of those conferences.
I've watched that thing. I know some people watched it a bunch of times. I've watched it 3 times, which is a lot for me.
That's a lot for an hour-long thing.
Exactly. So, and it's every time I'm like, God, it really does look promising. And I'm in a place with Bethesda games where even if it's like,
you like the bad ones.
I like the bad ones. Yeah, exactly. I like the bad ones, and I like it because I know that I know for sure the modding support's going to be there, so I'm going to be able to make it whatever I want. And and the fact that they have this big canvas to work with is just that much more exciting to me. All right, let's see here. A couple more stories. From 2027 onwards, new video game handhelds may have to have a removable battery. This is due to new EU regulation that says in 2027, all electronic devices, including gaming handhelds, have to have easily removable batteries. This may affect new Switch, Steam Deck, and ROG Ally successors. The regulation aims to strengthen sustainability rules for batteries and waste batteries. I think I'm a big fan of this, Mike. I like I like rechargeable devices, but whenever I get a new one and I see that the battery's sealed in there, I'm like, well, in a couple years, 2-3 years, this thing's battery life is going to be so miserable. This thing's basically going to be useless. And that's not always true. Sometimes they surpass that, but that's straight where my mind goes. So easily accessible, replaceable batteries is a big thumbs up for me, and especially for these handheld gaming devices that I might not be playing my Steam Deck in a couple of years, but I can easily see a world in which I pass it down to someone else. Sure. And when I do that, I would like to replace the battery and then hand it on to them.
Now,
that's gonna be.
When you say replaceable batteries, you literally mean like we're going to be using AAA and AA's, or like we're going to be able to okay, no.
So the what they define it as is it could be a lithium-ion rechargeable battery, but you have to be able to replace it by just basically using commonly accessible tools like a screwdriver. It can't be Torx. It can't be some like proprietary tool that you need to get unless the company ships the system with that tool. And then the battery itself can't be hardwired in. It can't be glued in like a lot of batteries are these days. A lot of batteries are hard glued into the system, and ripping them out
this is
feels
like when
real
I would
bad.
Replace the watch battery in my Sega Saturn because it died.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. So and now that is those kinds of batteries were probably
I know
they're going to probably be exempt from this and stuff like that. But I think for the most part, like I love the idea of the DualSense, but like I want to be able to replace the battery eventually in there easily. I will do the work for these DualSenses when it comes to that, but I do have the tools. I have an iFixit kit. I'll just go grab them. I'll pop it open. I'll rip the battery out and replace it. I would like it if it was a lot easier. So I think this is a good move.
I think it's especially good. This is going to apply to phones, right? Because that's where it feels like my battery in my iPhone after the first 6 months, like efficiency drops by half for some reason. So.
Yeah, and it's I used to have older Android phones where it's just you slide the back off. I don't know. I don't know if iPhones were ever like this way. I think they were, but for my old Android phones, you just slid the plastic back off. You could take the battery out whenever and replace it with another one. A lot of phones I would buy 2 batteries, and I'd be like, okay, we're going to on a long trip. I'm going to bring both batteries, and I'll just swap it in halfway through the day when this battery's about to die. And that was really cool. And then they stopped doing that, obviously. And I would really like for that to return. That would be very cool. Okay, last couple stories. Sega CEO Satomi said that the Sega Saturn is a difficult console to turn into a mini console because of its complex hardware. Sorry, I misspoke. Sega president Yukio Sugino says a Sega Saturn mini console is difficult to make due to its high performance and cost. Sega has released 2 mini consoles so far and surveyed customers about which console they'd like to see next. Saturn definitely pops up there. I think Dreamcast is the more popular option. It also would be the easier one because Saturn emulation, for as much as it's improved over the years, still much more difficult than Dreamcast emulation.
Yeah, and Dreamcast, even though I think it overall sold worse and definitely had a shorter lifespan, there is still an affinity for that thing. I mean, there's going to be a Hallmark Christmas ornament for the Dreamcast this holiday, right? Like there's still just a lot of warm feelings about the Dreamcast. It's a fantastic system, of course. I would really like a Sega Saturn Mini, though. I get the challenges, but there are so many games that are still just stuck on that system, like a Burning Rangers, like a Panzer Dragoon Saga, or, I know it had a Panzer Dragoon remake, but the original Panzer Dragoon, or just Panzer Dragoon Zwei in any shape, the Clockwork Knight games, the Bug games, the Dragon Force, just a ton of amazing games that are very, very Sega Saturn and nowhere else.
Yeah, and I think the reality is they probably can pull this off. They probably can make a Saturn work, but it is both those factors, right? That the Dreamcast seems more popular than a Saturn would be, and the Saturn is a little bit more difficult. So maybe the microprocessor they'd have to use, the chipset they'd have to use, would be a little bit more expensive. And it's like that might be enough to convince them to just skip over the Saturn and go right to the Dreamcast. And I could easily see them do that.
Skip over for now, do the Dreamcast one, and then hey, like if that does well, and hopefully it does, maybe Saturn stuff will get a little bit easier. Hopefully they do a Saturn one.
I mean, ideally, what you do is you do the Dreamcast one, and maybe you use a system on a chip that could do Saturn, and you buy enough for the Dreamcast that it reduces the cost, and then you can make a second purchase that you can use for the Saturn once that makes more sense. People are saying, hey, they should do Sega CD and stuff like that. They did that. That's the Genesis Mini 2.
Genesis Mini 2 has Sega CD games. I don't think it has 32X games.
I don't know if it has 32X. It definitely has Sega CD.
I There'll be a third one at some point. You can play Karibi or whatever.
Yep, exactly.
Knuckles Chaotix.
Sure, why not? GameCube and Wii emulator Dolphin is no longer coming to Steam. The Dolphin emulator no longer coming to Steam due to Nintendo's DMCA takedown request. The emulator included the Wii common key. We talked about this, which Nintendo claims is copyrighted material because it almost certainly is. Nintendo has a history of taking legal action against emulators, and Dolphin may struggle to win this particular battle, so they are not even going to try. They've said that it's going to be impossible to bring it to Steam, which, oh well.
Yeah, I don't know why they even tried this. Why they put this target
I mean,
on
again,
their
it's
back.
like, you put something on Steam, first it feels more legitimate. You do get more attention, and that might help in the long run of like getting more support and making sure that that's all this stuff, all this work you're doing is worthwhile. But if it's going to draw the ire of Nintendo, you just gotta bow out, and people will still find Dolphin. They will still, Dolphin's going to be just fine. Dolphin is definitely the one emulator I expect to survive the apocalypse. Like, people will find a way to preserve Dolphin.
I thought you meant like a hypothetical emulator apocalypse that was coming or something.
Yeah, that too.
No, you mean like the apocalypse?
The actual apocalypse. Like, I will keep that shit on a USB drive and bring it with me into the wastelands. I'm not too surprising, but oh well. I mean, RetroArch still is on Steam, which is weird.
Maybe we could just ask those Dolphin people, like, hey, you did it with the GameCube. You're there pretty much. But, well, can you guys make a Saturn emulator?
Yeah.
How was that?
Nice,
Could you do that? Would that be a fun challenge? I bet you can.
Yeah. Oh, no, you'd be like, I bet you can't even do it. I don't think you can. There you go.
Yeah, right? Oh, yeah. So we'll see.
That does it for the big news I want to talk about. We did get super chats in. People probably have other things they want to talk about. But first, Mike, is there anything else that we missed that you want to bring up?
I think that's pretty good, Jeff. I think we
you mentioned
a lot of stuff.
You mentioned the Diablo stuff and how well that game's doing.
Stuff, which and I think they said they wanted to do like a developer diary or something tomorrow to talk about the stuff. But it sounds like it's just them going to try to explain why they did, which that only ever makes things worse.
Yep.
If you explain to people why the way they think it should be done is wrong. I don't know.
And it is like the way people want things done is wrong, but their complaints aren't wrong. So people are going to feel vindicated in continuing to complaining because they almost certainly all are right about what is wrong with the game. But anytime anyone suggests about how the right way to do it, that is almost certainly also wrong. So it is like a lose-lose. Like, you put yourself in that situation, and you're going to have to hear people out or encourage the community to give feedback in the places where they give feedback. And then they're going to feel like they're being ignored, even though you just came out and said you were directly listening to them. So it's a tough situation to put yourself in. We'll see. I suppose maybe it's better than nothing, but I guess we'll find out for sure tomorrow.
Yeah, but it's like, because now the season started, I don't know if they can patch again. Maybe they're going to say, hey, we're going to revert some of the most.
I guess someone mentioned a patch went up today. Have you played it? I don't know.
The patch is just the release, basically, of the first season.
Okay.
And there was one thing they reverted, which was like they level gated the World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. That they reverted, and like something else was just a bug in terms of a currency not dropping as much. But like the nerfs to a lot of the classes and the slower leveling in general, I don't know if they're going to revert that. It doesn't seem like it. I think they're going to try to tell us why they think those are good things, actually, and I think that's going to go over very poorly.
That Diablo team is just so much like that thing tomorrow is going to be 100% is this an out of season April Fool's joke moment for them? It's just not going to be good.
It's just, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. At least I don't think it's live. I don't think they're taking questions. Maybe it might be live.
Just like,
I don't think they're taking questions.
They're not going to be taking questions, but just like that stuff that energy will come to the Reddit. That energy will be in the forum, and they will be energized by the
energy.
Yeah, energy, baby food. All right, Mike, we have some super chats. Why don't we get to these, and then we'll take a quick break, and then we'll get to our games for the night.
Big Fresh 37 says, gang, ice cream so good. Big Jimbo Ryan says, Blizzard's as desperate as I am. How desperate am I? So desperate, I traded iconic PlayStation mascots like Crash Bandicoot for Call of Duty. Help me. Popcorn emoji. GG. Smiley face.
Also, real quick, Benji Glasky re-upped their membership to link in status. Thank you, Benji Glasky.
Big Jimbo Ryan also said, Ice Bank Mice Elf did. I get him. Got him if I did. Is Jim Ryan having a stroke? What does that mean?
Yes, we are watching Jim Ryan die before our very eyes, everybody. Enjoy.
Is he doing the NPC thing? I don't know what that is.
Mice. Oh, I spank myself. Did I get him? I spank myself.
Oh. I mean, look, I'll just admit to spanking
Yeah, of
myself.
course,
You didn't get
yeah.
nothing. Of course I do. I'm a
podcast
grown
do you think
man.
this is, Jim? Jim,
Yeah,
what
come on.
podcast do you think this is?
Yeah, Charlie Wolf says, you guys are currently tied for Pikmin 4 Metacritic scores. I believe you got an 88. You guessed an 87. I guessed an 89.
Yep.
Well, Jeff got the point for Exoprimal because I doubt Exoprimal gets to an 80 on Metacritic. I think you gave it like a low 80. I gave it a slightly higher 80. You know, like, okay, so like, you seem really like Exoprimal. Everyone you play it with did. And
Everyone
I hear
else
some good
seems to
things.
hate it.
Yeah, it's like a 66 on Metacritic.
I don't know. I played the game and it's fun to play. What can I do about that? I think that there are people who maybe are like, Capcom only makes the kinds of games I like now. And then they play Exoprimal and be like, this is a live service game. I don't like that kind of game. I'm mad. I don't want to like reduce it to that, but that's the way it feels like to me. Because like the modes keep getting interesting. I mean, maybe if you play it for 20 hours, maybe like you get on the other side of it and it kind of wears out its welcome. For me, it's like a Game Pass game that you can play with friends and have a good time with pretty easily, which I think was evidenced by the UPF that we did. For me, that's a pretty big win. I think it's a fun, good game. I'm not calling it like a 90. I'm not saying it's a 5 out of 5. It's definitely 100% for me a 3 out of 5, and I know that translates to 60 on that scale, but that's not what I mean. It means I like it. But I might be willing to go to 4 out of 5 if I give it more time, and I still feel this way about it.
So you apparently said a 79. I said an 80 for that one. So
okay.
you're going to get that point, though. So there, you could take comfort in that.
I guess.
Al Grug says, y'all check out those 10th anniversary 8-bit Do controllers. Got the FC40 Pro in today, and it looks dope. Man, I got enough controllers right now.
I do have too many controllers.
You know, I have this the Starfield Xbox controller, and I love that's basically everything I need for like PC gaming or like anything that's not like just straight up like, you know, I guess the only other controller to use is the PlayStation one for PlayStation games, or I like this 8-bit Do for like playing PlayStation.
I know, but have you
ROMs.
seen this 8-bit Do F40 limited edition?
Was it okay?
Jesus Christ, it looks good. Listen, I do prefer the NES to the Famicom, except for maybe this. This looks so good.
Okay,
it's like got the gold analog sticks. It's got the 1 and the 2 on it for like the 1 player and 2 player.
Oh shit!
It looks really fucking hot. I might reach out to them and see if they want to send me some.
That's a nice looking controller, and I don't have an Ultimate from them yet.
I mean, boy, the Ultimate is the one I use as my primary controller, both on PC and Switch.
Yeah, but that is still just this. I just bought this for like $90.
Oh yeah, sure. I would say if you need a controller for your Switch, then get one because it could turn on your Switch by shaking it, which is fantastic.
Fine. Oh, that you're shaking. I'm fine with this for my Switch.
Okay,
I'm fine fair enough. Pro. It's fine.
I have a real hard time forgiving my Pro because I got the very first generation of the Pro with that atrocious D-pad with the false diagonals that just drove me insane. So yes. I'm like, nope, 8-bit Do from here. I know they fixed it. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to even look at my Pro controller.
Okay, next one is from Baba is me. It says, have you heard anything about the Plucky Squire? And if it is still on schedule to come out this year? Thanks for always providing great content. Thank you, Baba. How about it, Jeff? You hear anything about Plucky Squire?
No, I haven't been like looking for it though. I mean, I was kind of just like hoping we'd hear something about it. Yeah, it's July. We'll hear about that.
Quite a few months
still
left of this year.
A lot of time for that kind of game. I hope it comes out this year. I think it looks very good.
Chris says, are you guys picking up those Spider-Man 2 PlayStation 5 faceplates?
What?
No.
I was going to say, let me guess. Fuck no is what I thought you would say. Mike is not a coward. He loves his PS5 exactly the way it is.
I don't know if there's a bigger PlayStation 5 design apologist than I am.
Yes, so I don't think there is.
I'm not touching it.
Should be a criminal.
I really like those the look of it. I'm glad that they are not just selling it as a special edition PS5. They are selling the faceplates separately. That's very cool. And I'm with Mike. I am not a coward. I'm sticking with my white PlayStation 5.
I do like the faceplates thing.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
fun.
I do like it.
I mean, if you made one that basically just looked like a PlayStation 5, but like had a picture of Astrobot on it, maybe I'd get that.
Oh, yeah. Well, sure. Yeah. I would. I'm not saying I'm completely against the designs. I just think they try to make it look too cool. And that's not what I want. I want my PS5 to be what it looks like.
Big Fresh 37 says Shadowrun. What's going on with Shadowrun? Anything?
Shadowrun, the servers got turned back on and fixed.
That's right. That's right. I got confused because I just watched a video about the SNES Shadowrun. I was like, "Are you reading my mind? What's going on here?"
You know what video I watched? A 6-hour The History of Video Games. And what's really frustrating is I can't stop watching it, but I don't think it said a single thing that I didn't know already. And I'm like, am I just doing this because it like reinforces things I like? Am I that
Well, it's not
sad?
like, I assume it's a second screen thing for you, right? You're not just sitting there only watching that. That's whatever. It's noise.
Yes. It's noise. Exactly.
Yeah. Darachi says, could a Microsoft-owned Activision be cool enough to put StarCraft 64 on NSO?
That would be very cool.
That would be funny. Like, why not?
It'd be funny, and why not? That would be a fun thing to stream, because we'd be able to see what the other person is doing. That split screen. I've played that game exactly once with a friend, and we played a whole match, and it was a good time. I would like to maybe try that again.
Yeah, dang it, Sean's bringing it up too. I actually saw this on the 8-Bit Do site, but they have a Neo Geo wireless controller, and that perked my attention.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I think I'm entering my Neo Geo phase. Like, I've been playing Neo Turf Masters.
Yeah, I've been feeling kind of Neo Geo-y recently as well.
Maybe we'll see some Neo Geos at this.
That'd be cool.
This console thing. I want to. Look at some.
Man, I wonder how much a Neo Turf Masters machine would cost.
Well, it's not a machine. It's always the
board
cartridge.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
I think it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Let's see. Next one here is from Dominic Harmon. Karateka was one of the first games I ever played. I'm old, so I feel seen. What making of would you want for one of the first games you played? Well, so I started with the NES generation. I mean, I don't know. It's weird because I'm trying to think, but I don't know how many of them would be interesting. Like, I guess I would like a really in-depth making of Mega Man, and yet I also am not that curious about it. I think I know how they made Mega Man, in some sense of the word. I don't know. Do you have like an amazing answer for this?
No, I like what making of would you want for one of the first games you played? No, because it's like, yeah, the stuff I played was very popular. I mean, I wouldn't hate like, hey, here's how we figured out Duck Hunt and all this stuff, but
yeah, like almost all of it would be pretty cool.
Yes,
and yet I don't know if there's like anything where I'm like, well, that would just be the most interesting thing ever. Like, Metroid 1 would be interesting, I guess. Like, that'd be neat.
Yeah,
sure.
I'm like getting very hot and heavy about Gunpei Yokoi. So I think any of his early things, Game & Watch would be one I would really like hear more about. I didn't even really had one. A friend had one, and I like touched it barely once. So it's not really in the spirit of this question. But I would like to hear like him coming up with the Game & Watch and his thinking, and then kind of maybe the lineage from that to the Game Boy. Because the Game Boy, like, even at Nintendo, they thought the Game Boy sucked. This thing stinks. Like, what are we doing with this thing? And then they put it out, and of course, it conquered the world. And I love that. And that makes me just like Gunpei Yokoi knew what he was doing more than anyone else. Like, he defined what the world that we live in is. We live in Gunpei Yokoi's world, basically. And I would like a lot of history on him.
Luke G says, as a fellow Ohioan, Detroit got RoboCop, Boston and Vegas got Fallout, New York City and LA got GTA. What series should Ohio get? LOL.
Detroit got RoboCop, Boston, Vegas got.
Did we get anything? I know, like.
I mean, like, West Virginia is basically Ohio, so we got Fallout as well.
Yeah, Fallout also goes to Pittsburgh sometimes, but that's very close, but not quite. They're really skirting around Ohio.
Yeah, and we're like in the area that's not really the Appalachian part of Ohio, which is like what they're dealing with over there. Yeah, I don't know.
Farming simulators is AK-416.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, there's really nothing.
Trucking Simulator does like state by state expansions. I'll take the Ohio expansion for Trucking Simulator.
There you go. I like it. Okay, next one here is from Sleepy Dad. Have you all heard anything about Wonder Woman? Has the reception to Suicide Squad's live service stuff changed anything about Wonder Woman's development?
I don't know. I think Suicide. No, probably not. Because like Wonder Woman can just be Batman, right? It could just be an Arkham Asylum game, but with Wonder Woman. Suicide Squad was trying to be something different, and people don't want different in that direction. They wanted another Batman game. So I think that Wonder Woman is the safe bet compared to the Suicide Squad's attempts to change up the formula.
Ali Miracle says, excited for some Final Fantasy 14 news next week with FanFest, Mikey. I am. I mean, I assume it might be time to at least talk about the next expansion, which is crazy, but like it will be 2 years this fall already.
Is that
I'm
out in Vegas?
That's in Vegas. That's the thing. Like, I'm a little bummed because I could have gone. Like, they
Yeah.
invited me, and it's just hard to like travel again this summer
Yeah,
for
of
another
course.
thing. And like, as much as I love Final Fantasy 14, it's like definitely my favorite game.
That reminds
right
me.
now.
I'm going to PAX.
Okay,
So if you want to try
Wes,
to make that happen, yes.
I gotta look into that.
I
Maybe
know.
try to make
Yeah,
that
I know. I
happen.
understand. Just if you can.
Yeah, that'd be
we're
fun.
doing like a bunch of stuff for PAX. So if you want to
Yes.
come and like be part of our panel, that'd be cool.
That'd
Like,
be
I'm
fun.
just and like we'll see. Maybe we can invite Robo Mitch and Back Grubb. Maybe get them to fight on
Maybe.
stage
I
or
don't know.
something.
We'll
I don't
see.
know. Yeah.
But yeah, like there's gonna be a part of me that's like I could have been at this fan fest and didn't, so I'm gonna feel like a little bit of FOMO on it. And I don't mean fear of mitching out. I don't even mean fear of missing out. I'm gonna mean missing out on that one. But I am definitely excited to see because like we don't really know where the next expansion is going to go for Final Fantasy 14, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. Aramis Baramis has been watching the podcast more and more, and you both have been great. Well, thank you very much, Aramis.
Yeah. Thank you so
I
much,
appreciate
Aramis.
it.
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Did you get Uncharted Wolves?
No, I skipped it accidentally, and I appreciate you reminding me. And Charlie Wolf says, "Classic Call of Duty coming back is my game of the year. Favorite Call of Duty." I mean, I think Modern Warfare 1 is certainly the one I like think back on the most. It was a time where it didn't feel like Call of Duty was it was big, but it wasn't like its almost own thing. It felt like the hardcore gamer, quote unquote, was just as happy to play it
Absolutely.
as the Call of Duty bros, which wasn't really a thing yet.
Yep.
So like, it was like one game of the year everywhere and everything. It was like prestigious. So it was a lot of fun to play it, and it was all very new and exciting. But other than that, Advanced Warfare was like the only one sort of post that I put any significant time into.
Yep. What Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4 is my answer too. Although I love Modern Warfare 2, and I have fond memories of World at War, Black Ops 1, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2 to a certain extent, and then Advanced Warfare. Yes, and then kind of after that, it does. That's when it really drops off after that one.
Not a big Infinite Warfare fan.
I didn't spend much time with Infinite Warfare, although I always try to play the campaign, and it seems like a real good roller coaster of a time, and I never stick with it. I'm like, I should just play that on stream sometime or something.
There you go. Yeah, it's weird. Like, there's just all these campaigns. That'd be fun. It'd be interesting Steam thing, just like, or stream thing. I'm just going to play through all the campaigns.
Yeah,
of these
exactly.
games.
Yeah.
All right, that's it with the super chats for now. If you guys want to send more, we will read them before the end of the show. But we got some games to get to. But at first, I think we need a little breaky break.
We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we are going to be doing those games. We're going to do a Metacritic closest to the pen, and we are going to pick the best game of 1996, or the best 5 games. So look out for that.
I wonder what's going to be number 1.
Be right back.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good.
Damn it,
Alright.
Mike, that wasn't a long pass.
Well, we can do one
Jesus.
pause right now. Is
Jerk.
that good?
No, you ruined it again.
No, I think that's good enough. That's good
It's
enough.
fine, it's
You'll
fine.
see that one.
Yeah, you'll absolutely see that one.
You know
Man.
what? I'm gonna do you one better.
set up.
I'm just gonna mark it on the time. I'm just
Sure.
time stamp.
Neo Turf
56,
Masters.
There we go.
This is
I'm gonna put it in chat.
okay. So if you had a Neo Geo game cartridge,
Yeah.
can you plug that into the arcade?
Yes.
I thought there was like
Neo
I
Geo
thought you bought like a
arcade.
Neo Geo
You
board.
need an adapter.
Okay, you need an
one
adapter,
way or
You
right?
need an
But
adapter,
otherwise,
yeah.
but it would still basic. It's still basically the same exact thing, though.
Yeah,
Yes.
because the same
Yes.
hardware. That's
that
just how they
that much
discouraged.
I understood. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, that's how I discouraged it because like the arcade cartridges were fucking everywhere because they were dirt cheap and
Right.
in developing countries and shit, and they didn't want the market of the console to get destroyed, so
Right.
they basically hardware locked it by putting in a different cartridge. But if you get an adapter, since it's the same hardware, you can just pop it in.
Okay. All right. Very cool.
56.
You're not
0.
thinking of,
What?
What?
no, I know that. I know that's
You're gonna buy it.
gears are turning. He's
What?
like, how much would it be to get
Okay.
this going?
I'm like thinking like I should just like finally build the MAME machine is what I should do.
Oh, that would be dope. Yeah,
That's
Money.
actually a good use of my time and money rather than just getting a fucking Neo Geo cab. Although Neo Geo cabs are so pretty, I really like the way they look. But yeah, I don't know.
If your local Walmart has any of the older arcade 1-ups on discount, sometimes you can get those for like $100, and that's like a decent way to get an enclosure.
You know, I have the Rampage one over here, and I don't play it very often. And I
mod that.
I could just mod that. I do look at that sometimes and think I should probably do that.
People drop in Raspberry Pis or
yes, they've been doing that from the
stuff.
very beginning, and it's like I really considered that. And I have a Raspberry Pi just sitting around. So Raspberry Pi 4, which is definitely powerful enough. So I don't know. I think about it, but we'll see.
I think that's what Andy did for his Andy Robinson.
Oh, really?
Did you see?
Okay,
yeah,
maybe I can talk
we were
to you
talking about it. We were talking about when we were getting up for set up for Jeopardy way back when, and he was telling me about how he just has like a modded. It's a Vuelix machine from Japan. They just modded to have like PC internals, basically.
Okay, I should do.
Let's thank Lou Minaris for joining the Lincoln tier when we get back.
Yes, I really need some water. I'm gonna go do that, and then we can get started.
Oh,
Mike, you like Astro Boy?
I said Astro Bot, Christian.
Astro Bot.
No.
Oh,
I mean, my understanding is that Mega Man's basically Astro Boy, so I guess I bet
Astro Boy.
I'd have no problem with Astro Boy, but I have consumed very little Astro Boy content in my life.
Yeah, it's solid.
if you like Mega Man, you probably like Astro Boy.
It's on the whimsical side of things too.
We're thanking you, Lou. Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah, I mean, there was that movie that came out with like Nick Cage as Astro Boy's father like 10 years ago. I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah, like the 3D animated one.
They're making they're making that Pluto anime about the Pluto there's a character, there's a detective in Astro Boy, and they're making a show about that detective that is very beloved. So I'm kind of excited about that.
Here's this video about this guy going to every Margaritaville.
Oh, is it the same that went to every like gas station, coffee, whatever? The chef talks about it.
I don't know. I'm going to count. I'm going to have Jeff guess how many Margaritavilles he thinks are in the United States.
He's playing with how is it called?
So bad at basketball.
How is it called? How did those degenerates call that thing?
What? The pop and shot? Yeah, I never heard about.
Pop and shot? What the fuck is that?
What's up?
You suck at basketball.
I was just telling you about how I never heard it called a pop and shop either.
I am getting a little bit better. I'm very good at
you.
Listen, this isn't going to surprise you. I'm very good at ball handling, very good at dribbling and passing. I was always terrible at shooting. I broke my collarbone as a kid, and just getting this to come over here, it's like always a problem after that.
I was always the opposite. I was a good shot. I couldn't move down the court.
Yeah, I remember we were just playing a pickup game in school, and I could dribble around everyone, and like the basketball coach in middle school was like, "Why aren't you on the basketball team?" And then he saw me shoot, and then he's like, "All right, I don't need to talk to him anymore." And I was like, "Listen, I get it. That's why I know not to go out to the basketball team. I'm fine." All right. Let's see.
I was pretty good at volleyball.
Game's pulled up. You want to get set up.
It is fun to have this thing because it's like I am finally figuring out the mechanics though of the shot, and I'm way more consistent than I used to be.
You know what? For the thing?
I just like to have a conversation with my friends sometimes, Mike.
Well, it's been a long break, and I think we should get ready for the scene because I see what's gonna happen. You're gonna talk with Christian for 5 more minutes about something, and then be like, "Oh, I'm not ready for this game we're playing on the podcast."
Jesus, Mike.
You really hate
Chill out. We're just hanging out.
I'll kill you. Happy Friends Day, my ass.
All right, let's see here. I think it's Friends Day here because like one guy saw the moon landing and he decided to send letters to the entire world, and one of the countries was Argentina. I don't know. It's so weird.
That's very pretty.
Weird.
Beaver Mike's out of line, but he's right.
Yeah, I don't know why it's the Friends Day, but it's today.
We're almost good. Let me just get the game properly framed.
They don't get yelled at when stats come in at the end of the year.
If he's really...
You should watch Astro Boy, Mike. I would love to.
I watch whatever I want to watch. and maybe it's
Astro Boy. I'm sure
Mike's
you
got an energy tonight.
Oh man, listen.
I'm just gonna
Staycation Mike is
I
like,
know.
yeah.
It's not
I don't know.
good.
He's
full
too
of
wired.
anger.
Wow.
We
Maybe he
need beaten down by work at the end of the day, Mike.
Yeah, that's the energy I need from
Yeah, he
him.
has too much energy.
It's been a weird week.
We need to take him out to like run around the corner or something.
Yeah,
You're
like
right. I
take
do
him
have a
to-
weird energy.
Take him to
It's been a-
Discovery Zone so he can like get some energy out in the tunnels there.
There you
Yeah.
go.
It's been
Okay.
a weird week.
I think I'm gonna bring us back in after a hefty pause. And we are back. My understanding is we are going to play a game of some sort. And to do that, I hand the show over to Turbo Sean.
Wait, I have a game first. Jeff, how many Margaritavilles do you think are in the U.S.?
I'm going to say, if there's
There's
one,
that video everybody's sharing
if there's
with us.
one in Cleveland, that makes me think that there's got to be at least 20. And I'm going to say 22.
24 by my count, so
Wow.
very close. Very
Okay,
impressive.
damn. All right. I was right there. It's like I was gonna say like one per every 2 state, but they haven't quite gotten that far. So yeah,
All right. Well,
but they're
there's
almost
a
they
ton-
basically are there.
There's like a ton in Florida and stuff like that.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, it's just on average is what it's like. They're not
Is that
gonna put
what-
one in
the-
Wyoming or
The
Montana.
Cleveland location definitely seems to be one of the more random ones, and I'm a big fan of that.
Yes, me too. I think we need to personally see to it that it stays in business, Mike. So
Yes, that's right.
make
Let's
it a
go.
the go-to spot for fans of the game mess. All right,
Can we get
Sean.
to the Cleveland Margaritaville specifically to sponsor us?
Yeah, we should do a fan meetup there, like if
that'd
possible,
be
like
funny.
maybe like plan something like that at some point.
Yeah,
I
rooftop
don't know
bar.
when it would make sense, but we should try to make it happen. Sean, this show's now yours. Go.
Now my thunder has been thoroughly stolen. Yes, thank you for that. We are back once again with something we haven't done in a little bit. It's been a hot second. We had our stuff to do, but we are back with Closest to the Messy Pin, Volume 12, presented by me, Turbo Sean, powered by Metacritic, executively
And
produced
powered by
Benji Bob
Fandom's
Kojima.
Metacritic. Excuse me.
Of course, yeah. Disclosure, yes.
I'm going to do a shot while Sean explains the rules.
Oh, he's actually getting up, audio listeners. This is great.
So
Okay.
he's doing a shot.
He's doing a shot.
What the fuck is going?
Mike is
What
on
is
something.
what is
I don't
what
know,
is
man.
up with him? This is insane.
I don't know. It's just-
Honestly, one of the most disconcerting things I've ever seen Mike do.
He went to the dispensary today or something. I don't know what's going on.
He
Mike.
might be high. All right. Go do the
Anyways,
rules.
as he requested, since we haven't done one in a while, I'll explain the full rules. Every round, the boys will be given a certified retro game that is older than 10 years, for anyone who doesn't know. The goal here is to predict the game's Metacritic score as it stands on Metacritic.com. We will be using a closest to the pin scoring system, aka golf rules. You want to be the lowest score at the end of the game. You want to be as close as possible to the score in order to do so. If you guess the exact number, instead of getting 0 points, you will have 5 points deducted from your total score. Does that make sense to everyone?
Makes sense to me.
You know what doesn't make sense to me is Jefferson bourbon. I know quite a bit about Thomas Jefferson. That man drank wine. He was not much for spirits of this nature.
Yeah,
So I
but
don't
like
know.
he's not the only Jefferson.
Yeah, well, to be clear, there's a giant picture of him on the back.
Yeah,
so
but
eat
maybe
shit.
it's like, his cousin is just like a big fan. This is like him honoring him or something.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyways,
You had to power through this, Sean.
I'll try my best. Game number 1 is Call of Duty 2,
fix the
released
framing.
on the Xbox 360, November 17th, 2005, based on 65 critic reviews. I actually can't remember whose turn it is to go first, so I just flipped a coin, and Mike, you'll be picking first.
Yeah. Call of Duty 2, I remember, was like a standout hit from that launch period, but still not like what Call of Duty would become, obviously. So I'll say like an 85 for Call of Duty 2.
85 from Mikey there. Got it.
I remember that Call of Duty 1 was like almost game of the year material on PC. Like it was like a big thing. And then I think Call of Duty 2 mostly maintained a lot of that energy. So I'm going to go with an 87.
87 for Jeff there. And Call of Duty 2 is sitting at an 89.
Ah, shit, fuck me.
On Metacritic. People liked it.
Yes,
Yeah,
they
I guess
really
so,
did.
more than I thought
They
even.
really liked pretty much every Call of Duty. I think maybe Big Red 1 was like not quite as loved. I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember that one being a little cooler.
Yes,
but
like
outside
that
of
one felt like one where they were first time they were really rushing.
Yeah, unless it was a weird one like Black Ops Declassify, usually it does pretty well.
Right.
Okay, so Mike was 4 points off there. Jeff was 2 points off. Jeff has a lower score, which means he is leading. Going into game number 2, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, released for the original PlayStation, October 31st, 1998. 12 critic reviews, which seems, I guess, a little low, but it is an older game.
Yeah.
So I guess
So it's just the magazine spin. Even 98, there would have been online stuff. That is low. That's weird.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I remember all the N64 websites. I don't remember all the PlayStation websites at that time.
That's fair.
We still had a GameSpot and an IGN. Maybe it was just GameSpot and IGN back then. Though, I guess.
Real.
I don't know.
Weren't they still N64.com
Yeah,
at that point?
they were probably IGN64.com by 1998.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they were just straight up IGN already by that point, even. But I'm not
maybe,
sure. Maybe I'm
yes.
wrong.
Who can say? Nobody knows.
Let's see. This is tough for me. I was never a Crash Bandicoot guy. So this is mostly a stab in the dark, but I'm going to imagine that they got better and better at making these over there at Naughty. That's Naughty Dog, right?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. Yes, it's Naughty Dog.
Yeah, listen, just a brain fart. I'm going to say it's an 86.
86. Okay.
Yeah, I think they'd get better. I think this is still a lot of people. Well, maybe a lot of people's favorite. There might have been a little fatigue, but I still think probably high 80s is right. I will say 88.
Okay, going a little bit higher there.
88's my coward score.
There we go. Okay, well, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped has a 91.
Wow.
So people really liked it.
I guess that low number of reviewers should have tipped us off because it's like it was going to be self-selecting.
All right, well, that means the boys are tied 7-7. We have game number 3 now. The Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon. I'll give you a little context here. This is the last of the reboot series of Spyro. Released, we're looking at the PlayStation 3 version, October 21st, 2008. 22 critic reviews. Mike, what are you thinking here?
I don't think there was much love for these ones. Gosh, they really flew under the radar immensely at this point. So, I see what we're doing here, by the way. Cute, all Activision games.
I think you mean first-party Xbox games.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, for some reason I forgot that they would also own Spyro. That's interesting. God, they should do something with that.
And then Skylanders.
Remember when they made that that they did that remake trilogy for Spyro and it was a big hit? And then nothing.
The kids like that.
It's good. It's very good. I kind of want to go relatively low here. I'm going to say like 69, dude. Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah, in 2008, yeah. Yeah. I am going to go with 75.
Okay.
I think I my chance to make up some points here. Let's go.
Make up? I mean, we're tied, so you'll just go in the lead.
Oh, we're tied? That's right. I mean, well, still.
Shot kicking in already. All right. Mike going a little lower, Jeff going a little bit higher, still hovering around the 7 range. Well, Legend of Spyro Dawn of the Dragon has a 59 for the PS3 version.
Jesus.
Let's go.
Man.
Let's go.
Which means that Mike does pull
Honest,
ahead of Jeff here.
all of those Activision games that were not Call of Duty in that time were pretty rough.
Well, even the Crash ones, I think, did a little better than the Spyro ones at the time. Like, I think
it varied more with Crash because of how different they all were.
Crash of the Titans, right?
Yeah, like Twin
which was like a brawler mostly. Weird.
Yeah, I don't know. That it was a very weird time where they were sort of just farming stuff out or throwing stuff at the wall. Yeah. Anyways, Mike pulls ahead here with 17 points versus Jeff's 23. Game number 4 is gonna be Guitar Hero, the original, released for PS2, November 7th, 2005. 65 critic reviews. A lot to work with here, Jeff.
Yeah. Man, I remember it being a phenomenon, but I don't necessarily know if that meant like 100% critical, like darling, but I know there were a lot of people in the media who really liked it. But I feel like it mostly did like potential game of the year numbers in terms of review. So I'm going to go with a 93.
Okay. Mike?
I don't know if the first one was quite that high. I remember everyone was very, very into it, very excited about it. I liked it a lot. This is the one I'm probably the most nostalgic for. This is the one I really remember. The track list. I liked back when they did covers instead of having the originals. I'll go a little bit lower. I'm going to say an 89.
Okay. Still a very good score, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
They had that song called Guitar Hero. Anybody remember that? Gonna be a guitar hero.
No, I don't remember that, actually.
Definitely not.
Mike remembers.
I wasn't very fond of this one. I think 3 is where they really found their footing. But the critics thought that Guitar Hero, the first, deserved cumulatively a 91.
Shit.
You guys split the difference there. Both gain 2 points.
I guess that's good for me, actually. I shouldn't complain.
Yeah, Mike continues his lead here.
Yep.
Quite a big one. 6 points difference here. Mike with the lead of 19 points to Jeff's 25. Going into the final game, Candy Crush Saga.
Oh,
we
my
are looking
God.
at the iOS version, released November 14th, 2012. 9 critic reviews to work with.
What the hell do I do with this?
Cry, maybe.
85.
Confident. I like it.
That sucks because it's like so hard for me to get the points I need in either direction.
Right, that's why I did it. I'm a coward. I mean, I don't know what the hell
Basically have to get dead on here. Get that point reduction.
Or hope it's like or hope that he's way off and I can get it in.
That too.
So that means I'm gonna go with 78 then. I don't know if that's really what I believe, but I have to do that. So yep.
All right, Jeff's locking 78. Mike's got 85. Candy Crush Saga has 79.
Oh, fuck! Damn it, piece of shit!
Jeff was so close.
I was about to
Which
say
means-
79. What?
1 point between them. Mike wins 25 to 26.
I'll go one more to be
like
safe.
this.
It's literally what I thought in my
love that.
head. One more to be safe, and that's a very good gift.
Hearts on fire.
Holy shit, that's a good gift.
Strong.
For people wondering, audio listeners, it's a gif of Rocky Balboa looking at a picture of Bobby Kotick and then crumbling it up because he's going to destroy him in the ring.
Favorite moment from Rocky 4.
Yeah, it's a great moment.
This is my new favorite GIF ever.
Yes,
This
it's
is
really good.
I've never seen this.
I've never seen it before either. It's really good.
God, Rocky with that weird. It's funny because he's like, he's training in Siberia, so he has a beard. Yet this is this really well trimmed beard. Such a look.
Well manicured, yeah, absolutely.
Such a look.
Good game as always, Mr. Bob. Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you so much. We appreciate that. That was a fun time. Thank you, Sean, for your help there as well.
Of course.
Jeff, do you need a second to get ready for the Game of the Year of 1996 deliberations?
I do.
Let's do that then.
Be right back, everybody.
Don't worry. I'm not going to run and do another shot. Hey, that's music.
All right, there we go. All right, just be a second, everybody. Let me see here. I'm going to close this.
Hearts on fire, Mike's desire.
That's a great movie.
Oh yeah.
That's an incredible fucking movie.
That's one thing. Me and Dan have multiple things in common, but we both share an intense love for Rocky.
Rocky.
Yeah, that movie is just like only 2 fights and it's like
2 fights and
90%
montages. It's all you need.
Montages.
Yep. And then a
it's
big
just
speech at the
perfect.
end. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that movie
I haven't watched the director's cut. I don't know if I want to.
It's fine, but no, Rocky IV original is the way to do it. It's like re-edited to be a little bit more serious.
They get rid of the robot. Like, come on, that's part of the fun.
Sure.
Oh,
Okay.
right.
Let's see here.
I heard about that. What are you doing with that?
I clicked on the thing to go to this browser, and that was so you
This podcast is so chaotic.
Yeah, I like
so
it
weird.
though. You like it too.
It's messy, one might say.
Yeah, some might say.
I get it.
All right, let's see here.
That's the comedy writer right there.
Right things.
Yeah.
Hearts on fire.
That's Mike. That's Mike. I have a credit on his trailer video.
On his trailer, that's right. That's right. Watch Honest Game Tours. Watch all of them, but especially the Portal 2 and Street Fighter 6 ones that I helped with.
For no particular
reason. I had the Piccolo joke in Portal 2. I was proud of that.
He's funny, you're not.
Who's
There you
funny?
go. You.
Thank you. I agree with that.
Wow.
Okay.
It still feels so perverted to hold an Nintendo 64 controller like this with like the
It's
D-pad
just
position.
wrong, dude.
Absolutely.
That's
Like
weird,
I'm
yeah.
staring at the Nintendo 64 dick in front of me.
That's
the entire
right.
time I'm doing it like.
Yeah, that's right.
You're
It's
holding,
like
you're
you
holding
wanna-
its pigtails, and you're gonna get in there.
It's
and
like
do
you
some-
want to lick it.
Oh.
Okay, all right.
Put it in your mouth.
Getting aggressive there now.
Oh,
Jesus
sorry.
Christ, Jeff.
I'm sorry.
That's what
I'm
it
sorry.
looks like. What am I supposed to
It's
do?
just-
It's not my fault. God made it that way.
This podcast is weird. I don't know what's
All
going
right,
on. It's just
silence.
Thursday.
And we're back to do Game of the Year 1996. If you missed, was it last week's episode where we did 1995?
It was last week. It was 1995.
If you missed it, what we do is me and Mike come up with the games that should be the top 5 for 1996 in order. The top 5 games of the year. We do take your input. If you're in chat live, go ahead and throw it on there. But mostly we're going to be looking at our friends, the podcast producers on the Discord. We'll be checking in with them here in a second. But Mike, where do we start for Game of the Year 1996?
Yeah,
I wonder where we go.
I think there's a very obvious one here that I can't imagine is not going to be number 1, but that's fine. If we're doing a 5, it'll still be interesting. I swear. But Mario 64 came out in 1996. One of the greatest games of all time. Definitely one of the most important games of all time. I don't need to explain why Super Mario 64 is still incredible, why I still love playing it. But yeah, just like the importance factor. Also just incredibly off the charts. This is a really interesting year. Just last year, we were doing this, and just how much more we are figuring out 3D in this year. It's pretty nuts.
Yes. Looking back now, where the 90s started with games and where it ended, it's like there was so much advancement. It is crazy.
But compared to now, we're like, our games are basically like they were in the 360 generation, just looking better. There's still there's like some stuff there that feels different. A lot of it more designed and like even UI wise, but man, yeah, it was crazy just living through that. How much things could change from a year in 1995 to 1996.
Yeah, it is. Super Mario 64 clearly was the one with the bullet for me. Next, I probably personally go with Wave Race 64, which came out in December of that year.
I know you're a Wave Race 64 freak. Are you like Wave Race more than Pilot Wings?
Oh yeah,
I do too. Just want to make sure.
Yeah, Pilot Wings is fun, but Wave Race 64 is just like mind-blowingly good.
It's great. I'm gonna have maybe a hard time with it at number 2.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm just getting it on the.
I'm just preparing you for this.
Yes, it's on the short list 1000%, but I'm not saying it has to be number 2 on the list. We're just getting the games up there right now.
Okay, because if there's some interesting ones here. I think if I had to say what I think a number 2 would be, I would go with the original Resident Evil.
Oh sure, yeah, I could see that.
Another very important 3D game.
Yes,
started this franchise that we are still talking about. That's one thing we didn't talk about. The news was Resident Evil 4 selling 5 million copies.
Yeah.
And if that, I'll ask you right there because I'm also that seems like a little slower than I think. And then maybe we're ruined by looking at Switch sales numbers.
Yeah, probably.
Because there's also a story about Square Enix going on about how happy they were that Final Fantasy 16 sold 3 million copies.
That's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and
It is.
Absolutely that's a good number. Anyone who's saying the Final Fantasy 16 numbers aren't good is insane. Like those,
those are obviously very good.
Straight up, really good sales for that game.
I agree. It's like another thing. It was like those are good, obviously. And look, the best-selling Resident Evil game, I think, is still 7 at 12 million, and 2 Remake did 11 million, and Resident Evil 4 could maybe still beat that with sales and all that stuff. So I'm sure it's still good. But yeah, it's man, here's this popular franchise with this really hot company with a game Metacritic score above the 90s, and still it seems like you can't. There is a limit there. I don't know. Maybe my reality is shifted there. 5 million is probably obviously very good for that.
Yep. I got a couple places I'm going to go, but I'm just going to say the one that definitely needs to be.
Let me say one thing about the original Resident Evil real quick.
Please, yeah, go ahead.
Because I played that remake last year, the one that came out for GameCube, and it was the HD version on Steam. It was really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Right, and then but I went to play the original, and it was a director's cut, granted, but on PlayStation on an emulator, and I was I want to just see how different it is. I ended up just playing through that whole version too. It's still very good. It's amazing. It's amazing how they really kind of stumbled onto a new genre while taking a lot from sort of Metroidvania stuff, like there are definitely those elements there, but like making something new with it again, inspired by like some things like Alone in the Dark. But yeah, that is still a really fun, a really interesting game to play. Resident Evil, big time important, but also still just really interesting to me.
Yeah, Resident Evil, very, very good game. Super Mario RPG is going to be up here.
Yeah, Super Mario RPG. There's our boy. Really, don't you say your line about it. That always makes me mad. But
yeah,
Super
yeah.
Mario RPG.
It's like if Nintendo
God.
forced Squaresoft to make an RPG, but only fun.
Okay, how you shut the hell up. But yeah, Super Mario RPG.
It really is, though. It really is
it's
fun.
Great.
Yes.
It's the game it's the first RPG I ever beat. So it kind of really instilled a love of that genre for me, and it's still one that anytime I go back to, it's still fun, incredible characters. I mean, it did so much for sort of establishing a lot about Mario, like the idea that Mario could be funny and stuff. Like some of that was in the cartoon.
Yep.
There's a little bit of that in the games, but a lot of that is really established here, especially with Bowser being a giant goober, that kind of stuff, right? So, God, I love this game. Gino and Mallow, incredible psychic. I mean, we're going to have 2 OCs in the Mario RPG. And we saw just with the last Mario plus Rabbids how that can kind of go awry, just adding the original character in there and like no one cares. But Gino and Mallow, people still care deeply about them. This game's getting a remake because people care so much. Yeah, it's a fantastic game.
Yep. It is. They just really focused on making it fun and interactive and ensuring that you always feel like you're a part of the action. And then, like you said, so much personality. Just one of the most personality-driven games made to that point. I really, really adore it.
Yeah, it's very, very good stuff.
I have another one that I think should be on here, but it is your turn if we want to do it that way.
Yeah, let me. Okay, so there's some interesting ones. These are less. I'm like certain it needs to be on there, and now I'm like throwing some stuff out. Well, okay, this is actually a pretty big one that maybe should be on there. Is this what you're gonna say? Quake?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say the actual most important 3D game up to this point. Quake. Yes. Just the follow-up to Doom and the first like real all 3D game for computers at that point. Like, you know, before id Software, like even like getting side-scrolling graphics working on computers was difficult. Like they like a lot of software developers struggle with that. Computers weren't made to do that. And then, you know, they figured out with Commander Keen, but then the fact that they just kept going and pushing the boundaries. And then what they come out with is the ultra fast, amazing 3D graphics of Quake. And then Quake kicking off the 3D graphics accelerator movement, and encouraging everyone to start putting those in their computer. And then on top of that, just a super solid game that's fun to play and fun to move around in. Yeah, Quake is super important.
Super important. And also, again, a game that got remastered not too long ago, and it's still one I think is a lot of fun. I like it's like slightly like it's like medieval occult is kind of the vibe here.
Yep.
And that's a lot of fun. Eventually, Quake would be much more sci-fi, but I do like those vibes of this one. Yeah, incredibly important game, and also still really fun. Definitely in that lineage that, like, you know, Wolfenstein 3D, Doom, Quake.
Yep, and it's so important, so influential that you can trace elements of Call of Duty's engine all the way back to the original Quake. There's a commonality there where it's like Call of Duty was made on id Tech for a very long time, and like that stuff. It's not necessarily anymore, but there's definitely going to be some elements there that are still there, and that goes all the way back to Quake.
Did you have something else that you were thinking about?
Quake was definitely it, but when did Pokemon Red and Blue come out in North America?
Not till 98. So we're doing North American releases. They came out in Japan in 96.
That's what I thought. So I was trying to like do them. I'm like, I remember having my car when I played Pokemon. So I'm like, that had to be much later.
It was a pretty long break, partly because, you know, they're translating RPGs took a while back then, but also because I think they weren't sure. They did, because the Game Boy was actually kind of a dying platform in North America at that point, or at least slowed down significantly. And Pokemon completely revived it. But at the time, they didn't know it was going to hit here also.
There's one that I think people might mention, and we could start checking the podcast producers here in a second, but I don't really feel strongly about it. In fact, I think it probably shouldn't be on the list, and that's Tomb Raider. I don't really enjoy playing Tomb Raider.
You know what? When I was having my nostalgic PlayStation era thing, because after playing Resident Evil 1, playing all the stuff, I was really excited. I'm going to play Tomb Raider, because like that was this thing, and I never really played much of those. I fell off that pretty quick, Jeff.
Yep.
It's not a whole lot of fun to play anymore. Look, it was also important. We were also figuring a lot of stuff out with 3D games, and there's definitely a charm to it. There's definitely something that caught the zeitgeist, but I don't think very many people have that much fun going back and playing the original Tomb Raider.
Yeah, and it's we'll see what the podcast producers say, but I'm guessing not many even say Tomb Raider, because even for fans of that series, it like really starts with Tomb Raider 2, and even that one, it doesn't hold up really at all.
Right. So I'm not sure.
Okay, I do have the podcast producers here. Mike, do you have any other ones you want to mention?
One more like.
Yeah, go
maybe
ahead. Go ahead.
Would be interesting is the first, again, maybe this is the Neo Geo in me, but the first Metal Slug came out in 1996, and that is like maybe still like, I mean, there's sequels to it, but like still the prettiest 2D pixel game made, especially of the era.
Oh yeah,
when we were making pixel games. It is incredible how good that game looks. So there's something to Metal Slug. I don't know if it can make it, but I want to bring up Metal Slug.
All right, let's get into these podcast producer things, and if there's anything else we want to bring up, we can get to them afterwards. There's maybe a couple I want to mention, but we'll see if the community mentions it. All right, Gears Wolf says Super Mario 64. Excuse me, he says, and that's a pretty obvious answer. Yeah, here we are. Cranches McBasketball says the same thing, as does Mr. Bowler. But Mr. Bowler says the dark horse pick is Civilization 2, which I played some of, but my start was Civilization 3 in earnest, so I'm not in any way going to be going to bat for Civilization 2.
I mean, my start was Civ Revolution, and then like Civ 4 I knew about because of the song, and then Civ 5 I played. But yeah, I wasn't playing Civ 2.
Civ 2 is the one I think that people who have been playing since the first one, they mentioned that's the one that really blew it open for them. But that's just, I don't know. It's hard for me to put Civilization 2 on the list.
For sure.
Let's see here. Lenny Cool Dick Denver 100% called the shot. Can't wait for Jeff to say Wave Race 64 before any other games. And that's exactly what happened. Very, very good. Panda says Super Mario RPG, The Legend of the Seven Stars, the pinnacle of graphics in 1996. Dr. Ryan says the easy answer, but still correct, is Super Mario 64. It still plays as good as it did the day it came out. It still holds interest. It still sparks joy. It would be easy to pick something else to spur discussion, but the truth is nothing from 1996 can top Super Mario 64. He might be onto something. Haas says Command & Conquer Red Alert, which is definitely a very good game. But we'll see. Fluffy Cloud Gamer, Super Mario 64 is easily the best. Cass Buckaroo also says Mario 64. Boppenheimer says, okay, fine, I'll zag.
Wait a second. What else did Fluffy Cloud Gamer say?
Let's see. Is easily the best, but want to shout out Kirby Superstar.
Kirby Superstar is 1996? Oh,
yeah,
shit.
it is. That it is. Like I've realized it was a surprisingly late release, which is why I never played it.
I thought it, because like, man,
was that 95? It might have been 95.
No, it's 1996.
Wow.
And Dreamland 3, I thought that was like a really late Super Nintendo Kirby game. Did that also just come out in 96? But whatever.
Nintendo and putting out multiple Kirby games a year, is there a better combination? I don't think so.
I really like Kirby Superstar, Jeff. I love this game.
Yeah, I never played this because it came out so late that I was like playing Super Mario RPG just waiting for Nintendo 64.
It was I did the co-op so well. It was just so much fun with like the different versions of Kirby. It was just really slick and well paced. It was the first one where like each Kirby ability wasn't just like, oh, well now Kirby shoots ice. It's Kirby gets a whole new move set built around ice. And that stuff was really fun. I want Kirby Superstar up for consideration at least.
It is on the short list. Alex says Resident Evil was neat. GB Cran says Super Mario 64, but personally I have to give it to Mario Kart 64.
Dreamland 3 was 97, by the way. Interesting. Thank you, chat.
Wow. Snuffkid says, I hate to go with the boring answer, but Bubsy 3D, which pioneered the way forward for 3D games. Yeah, Casual says Parappa the Rapper, which is one I wanted to mention, but I don't think it's going to make the list.
Mention it's not going to make it. There's no way Mario Kart 64 was 96. That had to be like 98 at least,
I think it might be 97, but I don't think it.
So it's 96 in Japan. It came out like in December, but North America, 1997. So we can talk about that next time.
Super Mario 64 is just okay. Put Quake on the list, says Beef Hammer. Jesus Christ, Beef.
Well, you're half right.
Jat Big says I'll go with Super Mario RPG. Wildfire Alex says fuck it, Super Mario 64. I'm sorry everyone, I failed you. Octo says a lot of great games in '96, but personal favorites like Broken Sword, Shadow of the Templars, and Diablo 1. But I have to give it up to Neverhood, the weirdest adventure game with the funkiest soundtrack. I remember looking at this game and never really actually seeing it in action.
Yeah, it's a cool game. I have a friend who really likes the Neverhood. Really cool game. Don't think it's gonna make the list. Sorry.
Let's see. Dr. Suss says Wave Race 64, in addition to the unavoidable Super Mario 64, Sephiroth says Super Mario 64. Breadfish says the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. Did you ever play this?
Nah, I mean, everything before Morrowind is a bit too early PC RPG jank for me. I'm sorry.
Yep. Same here. Darachi says, I'm going to say Revelations Persona, the very first Persona game. Its monster negotiation collection mechanics were really cool, and the setting, story, and atmosphere gave the game a truly unique, creepy feeling that modern Personas can't quite match.
Where's the heart, though, Jeff? Where's
the heart's still over there in Shimigami Tensei at that time. Jamie H. Christmas Eve says, shout out to the GOAT, Mr. Bones.
Let's go, Mr. Bones.
Mr. Bones is such a silly game. It's like
this
that's the
house
first.
Loves Mr. Bones.
Is that the first auto runner?
It has an auto runner section. It's not the whole game.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Not close to the whole game.
Okay.
There's a lot of different gameplay modes.
Is there? Okay. What Up versus CPU says, I will now try to predict what the boomer ass crossed out Very Mike and Jeff list will be. He says Star Wars Shadow of the Empire, filling the shitty Star Wars game quota, Donkey Kong Country 3,
Wow.
Wave Race 64, Super Mario RPG, Super Mario 64. And he says Street Fighter Alpha 2 snubbed because Mike didn't play it. Pokemon Red and Green snubbed because Mike hates Pokemon. Resident Evil snubbed because
not US.
Yep, because it's not the best one in the series, and Civilization 2 snubbed because it doesn't have Baba Yetu.
Well,
that's a very
correct.
good point. That's just an excellent point there. One over CPU.
Man, thanks for reminding me that Shadows of the Empire came out in 1996. Did it? I'm trying to see.
I think it was
that's
it
actually-
was like a launch window game, right?
I mean, but look, we have a lot of affinity for that game.
Oh,
I
it's
don't-
not-
like,
it's
it
not
was like a
top
big
five.
deal. It's not going to make the top 5.
I mean, the
It's not.
Hoth level's top 5, but the rest of the game drags it down.
Right.
Chronobound says a personal favorite from 1996 is Guardian Heroes. Treasure created one of the greatest beat 'em ups of all time with branching paths and a killer soundtrack. My runner-up would be Neo Turf Masters.
Is that this year? That's interesting. Man, Guardian Heroes is a game I want to play so bad. It's a Sega Saturn game. I just didn't have it back then, and everyone talks about how it's one of the best games for that system, and it's treasure.
I've never played
I'm
it.
sure it's great, but yeah, I just have not played it before. Is Neo Turf? I'm trying to look up when Neo Turf Masters came out because that is a very good game. But I don't know
Punish
if it's gonna
Rose
make-
says Wipeout XL has to take the title for me. Wipeout XL is one I would definitely consider if you had any love for it, Mike. I don't know if you do.
Nah, I'm not much of a Wipeout guy. I would do Neo Turf Masters, which did in fact come out in 1996.
Okay, now you
Before
want to
that.
put it on the short list?
I don't know. We've given Neo Turf Masters enough love. I don't think.
Yeah,
it's,
we can
look,
always just remove
all
it.
right. Go for it.
Clink says, sure, you could pick Super Mario 64. That's the boring answer. But what about the wild card slot, the game that has the best and most quotable moments? That's right. This list needs Duke Nukem 3D. And then says,
Yeah, we need to
but
talk
actually,
about Duke. Sorry, go ahead.
But actually put Civ 2 on you cowards. Yeah.
We're
fair.
Civ 2 fans. That was a bad thing. Yeah, Duke Nukem 3D came out, and man, we also have Quake though. Sure, it's better, but Duke Nukem 3D had tits.
Yes,
so.
and it had, you could like hump the wall and go, where is it? Which was very funny.
Incredible.
Big Tony says Mario 64, but this is your chance for some Neo Geo representation. Include Metal Slug. Let's see. Super Screaming Mad says too many Super Mario 64 answers when the real contender should be Madden NFL 97. Let's go.
I think that is the only Madden I ever played a considerable amount of. Was
Really?
97 on my PlayStation. Yeah.
That would have been like the time when NFL fucking from 989 Studios would have been way
Game
better.
Day?
Game Day, yes. And Game Day
Maybe.
was much better at that time. Johnny Navy, and maybe that was 98 when that started happening. Johnny Navy says Mario 64 is a bad game. The camera makes it unplayable, but you know what game didn't have a bad camera? Mario RPG. Oh my God, these kids.
People with the camera, they just adjust.
Yep. Learn.
Adjust. You'll be fine.
Learn. Yes. Adapt.
I'm gonna start telling you that in Batman Dark Tomorrow too. Adjust.
Yeah, adjust to the camera, which you can't interact with. Okay. Jimmy Nintendo, my actual answer is Mario 64, but shout out to Quake. Shoji Kodo says, I'd like to make an argument for Resident Evil. The cultural significance is huge for the survival horror genre. It became the best-selling PlayStation game back at that time, and it spawned a massively successful new franchise and IP. Isaac Clark says, correct answer is Mario 64. My personal answer, actually just Mario 64. JD Camp wants to go with Chex Quest.
Oh.
Do you ever play Chex Quest?
No. I don't. It's a Doom clone with Chex stuff. It's cute. It's funny that it's as good as it is, and I get it.
Yeah, it's fun.
Wow. Giant list here.
Yeah, let's see. Super Mario 64 is the best 1980s. This is from Miss Fio. Because it was inspirational and technologically laid down the foundation for games after it, including 3D Mario games, as it continued through generations. The close second is Resident Evil. Here's other games I think should have a notable mention, but no way the best of the best unless you want to consider. Alpine Racer 2, Batman Forever the arcade game, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Clock Tower, Crash Bandicoot.
We haven't talked about Crash Bandicoot.
We did talk about it.
That's interesting.
Didn't we talk about Crash Bandicoot?
I don't think it's come up yet. We talked about it earlier in the Metacritic game, Jeff. Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, but I've definitely been looking at it during this because I have my list of games from 1996, and for some reason I'm like, we must have talked about this and they just dismissed it, but I guess maybe not.
I mean, you know, you're not a Christian. I like Crash Bandicoot. I still think the first Crash Bandicoot is a lot of fun. I don't know if it's going to make a top 5 list, but it definitely needs to be considered.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was waiting to hear.
Put it on the list.
Yep,
Come
that's
on.
what I needed to hear. Okay.
I like it.
Bandicoot. It's fun to say. Good name. Dead or Alive, Die Hard Arcade, Duke Nukem 3D, Earth Siege 2, Daggerfall, Enemy Zero, Harvest Moon, Killer Instinct 2, Kirby Superstar, Mech Warrior 2, Mercenaries, Metal Slug, Neo Turf Masters, Panzer Dragoon 2, Zwei.
Hey, shout outs to Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei. I know I couldn't get Panzer Dragoon 1 on there last time. Zwei is just as good. I don't think it's going to happen, but a fantastic game.
Parappa the Rapper, Pilot Wing 64, Power Slave, Quake.
Power Slave rules. Power Slave's great, though. Play that. That is the best Night Dive Studios remaster. Play their Power Slave that they came out with.
Rage Racer, Soul Edge, Star Wars Shadows of the Empire, Street Fighter Alpha 2, Super Mario RPG, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Syndicate Wars, Twisted Metal 2, Warcraft 2, Beyond the Dark Portal, Wave Race 64, Wild Arms, and X-Men versus Street Fighter.
Okay, there's a couple big ones in here, and I'm actually surprised this is the first time anybody's brought up Twisted Metal 2, which did in fact come out in 1996. I guess
I played a lot of that game and had a good time at the time. It is not one that has stuck with me.
Yeah, maybe if Dan Reichert was here, we'd have to consider it as one of the best games of all time. It's definitely the best. Well, one of the best Twisted Metals. But yeah, there's something about it that's aged, not a little bit gameplay, but just kind of that tone and everything. I like Twisted Metal 2 a lot still. I do think of it from this generation. That is definitely one of the most 1996 games I think about. I don't know if we have to include it on the list. Gosh, is Warcraft 2 really this year?
Feel free to look it up. I'm going to keep going. Hammond of Texas says Apple's the most successful company in the history of business. And I think he wrote this here when he was trying to write in chat, because I saw him also write this in chat. And I want to say second most successful after Saudi Aramco, which, if it was a publicly owned company, would be several trillion dollars.
That's right. Warcraft 2 was 1995, but Beyond the Dark Portal was a expansion pack, so we don't have to worry about that. That's right. Right. We talked about it last time.
Fud Sack says Shadow of the Imp, and then stops and says Mario 64. Matt Rare Monkey says Mario 64, Civ 2, Quake, Wipeout XL, and Command & Conquer Red Alert. Let's see. There's more people saying Red and Blue. That's Nintendo Switch Boomer.
Yeah. Did we specify U.S. games this time? We might have forgotten to, but
we probably forgot. But that is our rule. So if you guys want to bring that back up when we get to 1998, feel free.
No, we specify.
Good job,
Christian wrote that in the original post. Everybody, Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, which I enjoy, but I haven't played a ton of. I don't know. Are you a fan of that?
Yeah. Puzzle Fighter.
Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, yeah.
I think those are a little overrated. Personally, I don't like Puzzle Fighter that much. I mean,
oh man, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Street Fighter thing. It would be Street Fighter Alpha 2, if anything. No, I'll just play Puyo Puyo or a real puzzle game like Pokemon Puzzle League, not Puzzle Fighter 2. Man, people feel strong about Puzzle Fighter. Thrax with me.
They definitely do. I love what I've played of it.
Every time I play, it's this is okay. I like the graphics. I like the chibi characters and stuff. I just don't find
show me the Puyo Puyo at Evo, Mike. Come on now.
I'm sure if they put a half-naked cat girl in Puyo Puyo, it would also be played at Evo.
Well, it's funny you say that because Puyo Puyo is at Evo.
Yeah, eat shit, Sean. Eat shit.
Sasquatching says Red Alert. Service Kane says there's a debate over whether Diablo is 96 or 97, but according to Blizzard's official timeline, it came out December 31st, 1996, and it was GameSpot's Game of the Year for 1996, so I'm choosing Diablo.
That's interesting. I think I'll probably wait till Diablo 2 to give Diablo its flowers.
I think that's right. Brian Rose, being in control of Mario for the very first time in Mario 64 is an experience I don't think that can ever be duplicated. Aside from the weird camera, it holds up extremely well. Yeah, the first time I ever played that game at Toys R Us, it blew my goddamn mind. Turbo Sean wraps this up here and says, I know, no Japanese releases, but guess what, Mike? This game never released in the U.S., since I never get to talk about it, shout out to the original Sakura Wars.
Yeah, I would like to try those games sometimes. That's a game that's like, it's a tactical RPG with some dating sim elements, I believe.
It was the Fire Emblem with waifus that all the perverts out there loved before, like 20 years before Fire Emblem did that.
There's a note here that says Crime Lords, go play English fan translation. I'm sorry, what was that, Mike?
It's really good.
They probably messed out by not pushing that more here, or at least doing it now, right? Like, come on.
I know that there was a few months back, or maybe even this like more than a year back, a lot of people in the Discord played it and seemed to really like it. So, yep, I might look into this. Okay, Mike, our list as it stands right now for 1996 Game of the Year is Super Mario 64, Wave Race 64, Resident Evil, Super Mario RPG, Quake, Metal Slug, Kirby Superstar, Neo Turf Masters, and Crash Bandicoot. I have a couple of these that I think certainly need to be on the top 5. But I'm open to hearing like what you're feeling.
Shout out to Fighters Mega Mix, by the way. I am once again feeling like the top 5 is like the 5 games we have on the top of this list are probably the 5 games, to be honest. Mario 64, Wave Race 64, Resident Evil, Mario RPG, and Quake. Like I would probably move Wave Race for like something else. Like I like Kirby Superstar a lot. I don't know if I could really justify being one of the top 5. I don't want to like do a whole thing where like you have your favorite in Wave Race 64, I have mine in Kirby Superstar, because you could definitely make an argument about Wave Race 64 being important in a way you can't really make that argument for Kirby Superstar. So I would lose there. I still like Crash Bandicoot. Oh, you know, we haven't really talked about much, but people did bring up Red Alert, and we kind of already snubbed Command and Conquer 1.
Yeah, I know.
Bad news for you guys.
The bad news is that this list is much more stacked than 1995 was.
It is, yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm with you. I think that if we want to move Wave Race 64 down, I'm fine with that. The one I would be most willing to move up would be Super Mario RPG. We're talking about Super Mario 64 is locked at number 1, right? I mean,
that's locked at number 1.
Just no way. Yeah.
I mean, look, I think Resident Evil should be number 2. Personally,
I mean, I can see that. It's just like, I mean, this is not an excuse because, like, what does that have to do with anything? But like, Resident Evil just gets better and better. I mean, that first one's very, very good, but
it's still very, very good. It doesn't get better and better.
It doesn't get better, but obviously there's ups and downs. But like, Resident Evil 2 is even better.
Resident 2 is better, but it also comes out in 1998, which is a very rough year. I don't know. Okay. It's better and yet may not make the list. I don't know.
Here's what I'm thinking. I think Resident Evil can be number 2, and then I think Super Mario RPG is number 3. I think Wave Race and then Quake.
Jeff, I don't know. We can put Wave Race above Quake. Come on.
I mean,
look, it's getting on the list. You're getting your game on the list, but it's still, come on.
I mean, I personally think Wave Race is a more fun game to play than Quake, and it's important, and it's got, I mean, listen, Quake is very important. I know that.
Very important.
Yes.
And it's also very fun. I would rather play Quake than Wave Race. I love Wave Race a lot, and I definitely get it. But I'm not saying Wave Race is lucky to be here, but
well, it's definitely not lucky. That's insane. Like
it's not lucky to be here.
No, you're being dismissive. That's
I'm
insane.
not being dismissive, but I'll tell you what. If we threw it to the chat, if we said which one do you think should it be here, which one do you think they would
probably Quake? But that's a good reason they're not doing this list. Then
I don't know.
I mean, listen, I think that Resident Evil at number 2 looks just fine to me as long as Wave Race 64 is at number 4.
You get to have a precious one in here. I don't get to have my Kirby.
Yeah, but your Resident Evil at number 2 is like, I mean, Super Mario RPG is like easily number 2 for me without even question. But okay, like, I'm fine with Resident Evil being number 2.
We can't have 2 Marios back to back.
Absolutely, we can. They really were the 2 best games that year, easily. But yeah, I think this list looks right to me.
I would still. I think we should put Wave Race under Quake. Should we ask the mods what they think about this real quick, just out of curiosity's sake?
Sure.
And if you mods come in here and start talking about some other games, the question is Wave Race and Quake mods.
Okay, real quick, like, are you actually ordering this like number 1 to number 5?
Yes.
Yes. How's that not
Then-
clear? That's the whole
There's
thing.
no fucking
Chill.
numbers,
I
Mike.
yelled at Jeff about that. He said you don't need to put the numbers in now,
Jesus
Jeff.
Christ.
I told
Oh,
you.
my God.
I told you. Jeff's like, we don't need the numbers. It's clear. Oh,
There's some
the
fucking numbers.
vindication.
There's
the
the numbers.
vindication.
There's the-
You
Let's
guys have
fucking
like
go.
5 different segments like this. It's never clear if you order them or not.
know.
Anyway, since it is 1 through 5, yeah, Quake deserves to be above Wave Race.
Yeah,
And
well,
yes, you are lucky that Mike is allowing Wave Race 64 on this list, Jeff.
I mean, this is just as much my list as it is Mike's. Like the idea that I'm lucky that anything's being on here is insane.
Listen, did you hear the Sonic episode? You are lucky that he is allowing this.
Yeah, Mike ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
This is my compromising. This is as much compromise as he will ever do. So I think you had to take this.
I mean, I get it. I've played these games. I know that Wave Race 64 is actually a more impressive game even than Quake. And I know that's going to be insane to everybody, but it's true. It actually is true. It's not just the 3D graphics, which it has and is just as impressive as Quake's. It also has a physics system that is better than anything else at the time and better than anything for several years after that. But fine, I'll move it down. We'll move Quake up. Whatever.
It's on the list, Jeff.
Yeah, it should be. It should be higher. It's that good.
You would put it at number 2 if you could.
Yeah, probably yes.
All right.
Bro, if it was any other game other than Quake, I will be totally with you, Jeff.
I mean, Quake.
But
Yeah,
Quake is
Quake.
just
I
too
know Quake
good.
is. I know.
I
get
played
it,
so
Quake.
much Quake when I was a kid, so it's like ingrained in my brain. So
I want to read this super chat from the Andrew 13 who says, "Is there a Wave Race con
I
in
saw that.
2023?"
Yeah, I mean, culturally, I get it. Quake is massive, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could play Wave Race 64 today, and the way that moving across that water still feels better than almost any other game that tries to do that to this day. And
Yeah, it's a great game.
yeah, I mean, right. Till this day, it's that good. But
Yeah.
fair enough. All right, whatever. Super Mario 64, Resident Evil, Super Mario RPG, Quake, and Wave Race 64, the top 5 games of the idea that I'm lucky, like the rest of the games on here.
Look,
Yeah,
Jeff.
like Metal Slug, Kirby Superstar, Neo Turf Masters, Crash Bandicoot. It's laughable that any of those would replace Wave Race 64. Actually laughable.
Crash Bandicoot's very good.
Bandicoot. That's the one you're gonna say. That
Man,
game
just
is
hot.
trash.
Remember when it was like, "Oh, Mike's energy is real
Whoa,
weird."
hey,
Completely
no.
normal.
It is trash. It is.
No, oh,
It is
come on.
only the only reason it ever got any attention is because they did those commercials about we're gonna after
you are
Nintendo.
just so wrong.
It is not fun to play.
Oh, you're insane. Of course it's fun
Run
to play.
at the
It's a
camera,
very good
miss your
fun.
jumps because you have to guess. It's horseshit. It's
Sounds
such
like a skill issue to me.
wow,
It got better.
don't
It got
go
better
there, bro. Come on.
over time when they realized that was a problem. They did a little bit less of that. Oh man, Crash Bandicoot.
In before Jeff has a rant about this on Twitter, and Rebecca Stone just comes in with who? Wave Race? What's this?
Okay, now listen, I get that. Now I'm not trying to.
Have fun, I guess.
Yeah, I'm definitely a boomer, but Crash Bandicoot's boomer shit too at this point. So come on. And the other options,
yeah.
Neo
All right.
Turf
This
Masters
is
not
Chef
boomer.
Canon event. Yeah, this is what turns him into an evil person. Yeah, this is villain
All right,
origin.
I'm gonna go
All
ahead
right, thank you, mods. You
read
may
this.
go now. Back to your hole.
Oh no!
All right, let me.
Like, that's great. Good job, Christian. Okay, I do like this top 5 though. That's
Yeah, me
good. You
too.
did it.
I mean, that was a good year for games. 1996.
It was. It's better than 95 was, and I think it's only going to get better for a while. Actually.
Oh yes, definitely.
Very good.
All right.
Jeff, we have a Hall of Fame thing to do today too. Still, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Do we have the results for that, Sean? Actually, because I.
Sean, get out of the
Yep.
hole. We need you.
I thought I might be able to claw my way out just to reveal this. Yeah, I
Thank
have the
you.
results here ready to go.
Okay, so for the Game Mess Hall of Fame, what we do is we occasionally have the community come in and vote on a selection of games that me and Mike pick. We started doing themed ones, like we're going to pick from certain things. This week, we picked Xbox games. And what are the games that are up for nomination? And then I'm going to read the list of previous winners that got inducted into the Game Mess Hall of Fame, and then we'll read the winners. So what did we choose, Turbo Sean?
So this week, up for nomination is Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic, Halo Combat Evolved, the first one, obviously. Crimson Skies High Road to Revenge, which is the second Crimson Skies, and Burnout 3 Takedown, which is the fourth Burnout.
And of course, podcast producers could have voted throughout this week on which one of those they thought is worthy of being in the Game Mess Hall of Fame. Nope, they vote on one, and then the two highest ones have a chance, are the ones that will get in. They will join the list, which is as follows: Super Mario Brothers, Super Metroid, Street Fighter 2, Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, F-Zero GX, Undertale, Shovel Knight, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Streets of Rage 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Demon Souls, and Uncharted 2. All right, Sean, go ahead and tell us who's going to be the newest inductee.
Weird Wave Race isn't on that list.
Yes, the best Xbox game.
So the two
better than any game on Xbox except for Knights of the Old Republic. Yes.
So the two making it in tonight, we'll do second place with 24% of the vote. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
All right.
These results are going to be shocking, everybody.
And then number one, you'll never see it coming, with 68% of the vote, Halo Combat Evolved.
Wow.
Wow. No respect. How much percent of the vote did Crimson Skies get?
You got exactly one vote,
Yeah,
Mike.
that sounds right.
One vote.
You know who that was?
So your
I know who
vote,
that
congrats.
was. That was AJ.
That was AJ. I don't think I voted. AJ, good job, AJ. Oh, we tried, AJ.
We tried. We did. We gave you your chance. We gave you your shot. I'm sorry.
You're lucky it was even up for consideration.
You're lucky. I mean, it's better than Wave Race, but come on. Oh boy. Okay, so congratulations, Knights of the Old Republic and Halo Combat Evolved joining the Game Mess Hall of Fame. We will do another one of those in the next couple of months. We'll see. We slowed down because we don't want this list to balloon that fast. But yeah, it's a good list of games. If you handed a person who never played video games Super Mario Brothers, Super Metroid, Street Fighter 2, Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, F-Zero GX, Undertale, Shovel Knight, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Streets of Rage 2, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Demon Souls, Uncharted 2, Knights of the Republic, and Halo Combat Evolved, that person would probably say, leave me alone. But then they would probably be pretty grateful for such a good list of games. So Undertale they probably wouldn't get. That's just for us. Okay.
The freaks love Undertale.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. But you got to have a even a more thorough understanding of games to really appreciate Undertale.
Fair enough. It's an advanced course.
It's exactly. It's the, yes. AP. Okay. Mike, what have you been playing?
Gosh, actually, despite all the negativity around the last 2 days, a lot of Diablo 4.
Sure, yeah.
Really, it's become a very cozy game to play while watching other things. So, like watching you guys do voice build dump truck or catching up with your Game Mess mornings because I'm sleeping in too much on my staycation. Just been playing that. Just been trying to level up my my main character and the end game stuff, running dungeons, playing a bit with my brothers. But the season starts tonight, so I will be probably making a season character right after the show while we hang out a bit here as we edit this podcast. But yeah, mostly that. Again, like I was like, I'm going to play so much Final Fantasy 16, and I don't know why. It's like I have to actually put effort into sitting in my living room and playing video games anymore. It's just like not the thing I do by default, so it just feels weird for me.
Yeah.
Am I boring you, Jeff? You have to play your ball?
No, I do this no matter what, whether you're boring me or not. But yes, you're boring me. Of course you are. I don't know. I'm like, I always think I'll get into Diablos. Okay, you're right. That's distracting. Fine, I'll stop.
I was throwing my beanbag at it.
You don't have to send my own energy back at me. That's unnecessary. Yeah, I like Diablo 4 is like, this is the one I'll get into. And it's like, it's so much game. It really is a hobby and not just like a game you can play. Because I mean, I suppose you could just play through the story and stuff, but even that seems pretty substantial. And then I almost don't see the point unless you're like going to get into all this stuff and do these seasonal characters with your friends and stuff. So I don't know. I guess I'm glad that you still seem to be so into it because I know you were a big fan of Diablo 3 and that this one seems to have captured your captured your mood once again. But I don't know how You think you're going to be playing this at the end of the year, or does that not even matter? Like, because right now you're having a good time.
It wouldn't matter. Like, that is kind of the weird. Like, it is weird how it's like these games. If you don't play forever, it's a failure. Because I remember with Diablo 2, and I love Diablo 2, but I played the campaign, and like, yeah, that's like one of the best games I've ever played, and then stopped. It didn't even occur to me back then that it was something I was supposed to just like keep playing forever. Like Diablo 3, it made more sense, especially because in Diablo 3, the end game content was better than the main game. But I think if you just play the campaign here, that's like what's getting lost a little bit with people freaking out about like a 10% like nerf to like ice shard damage or whatever it is, like, hey, a lot of people are just going to play this campaign and spend like the 20 hours it takes to do that. And that is like a game. That's fun. And it was fun. I like the campaign a lot, and I am still enjoying the post-game stuff. I'm not saying that they're wrong about being upset about the patch. I think they are right. And I think it was a mistake by Blizzard. But again, I don't want it to become Halo Infinite, where this game I like playing kind of gets ruined for me, largely just because like the community revolts against it, whether they're justified or not. It just kind of like brings everything down.
And that is the risk of a live service game, where it's like the mood is almost as important as the game itself. And
I have a big one I need to talk about. That's right, because I got a guided tour. From the Sea of Thieves developers.
How long was the tour? About 3 hours?
3 hours. Actually, yes. That was about an hour and a half. Okay. 3-hour tour of the Legend of Monkey Island update that I think is out today or tomorrow. I think it will be today for Sea of Thieves. Everyone I think knows I'm a big Monkey Island fan, so I was very excited for it. And they, kind of put me on a co-op run through this entire first chapter. There's going to be 3 of them. And it is really cool. As a Monkey Island fan, like doing this thing where you like sail in to Melee Island, and then you can just walk around Melee Island, that first location from Secret Monkey Island, which shows up in a bunch of other games, as an actual like 3D space. I didn't expect that to hit me like it did. It was really cool. What I love too is that they did make it a bit of an adventure game. Like,
oh really?
When you're especially in this chapter, there's like this once like small combat sequence. You're mostly actually going around and like solving puzzles and stuff and like talking to people. So it is like a little mini Monkey Island experience. And they have all these voice actors returning. It's basically the same cast as Return to Monkey Island. So you have some long stays, and then you have the new LeChuck voice, stuff like that. Everyone's doing a really good job. But yeah, it was hitting pretty well. I was very happy with it. So if you like Monkey Island, don't be like worried about like, oh, I don't know anything about Sea of Thieves. I think it's very easy to just jump in here, learn how to play Sea of Thieves with their tutorial for a second, and then just immediately jump into this content. It's going to feel more like a Monkey Island game than anything else.
We're gonna play that tomorrow for UPF.
Yeah.
We moved that up, Mike. So I think we're doing it 1 p.m. Eastern.
All right, I will be there. I've installed the base version of the game on my PC. I'll be ready to go.
Yeah,
and I will not spoil the puzzles for you guys because I know how to do them all. But so don't worry. But there's even also like this kind of fun like seek out element of you need pieces of 8 to buy things, and pieces of 8 are just kind of hidden all over the place. You're kind of always like keeping an eye out for piece of 8. And the other cool thing I like is it's a 3D world, but you can find certain spots like barrels to sit on, and when you sit on it, your perspective is exactly kind of the view you had of that space in the original game. And they'll even have Guybrush Threepwood like do a little narration over it about like what happened there. So that is like, oh, that is so cool. That's really neat. I love
that's
it.
Clever. Like that feels like the kind of thing that can only happen if you have a game like this, where it's like they've been working on it for so long and they've done a million updates and they know what they can do with their engine and with their game. And they're like, okay, we're going to work this IP. How can we integrate it in a way that feels natural and respectful for the IP, the other IP that we're going with? And that's really, really cool. So I don't know. That makes me excited to mess around with this.
I mean, I'm surprised I'm eating so well as a Monkey Island fan in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
but I'm definitely here for it. But yeah, there's 2 more chapters too. This one kind of is like you get to explore the first half of Melee Island. I think it opens up more in that next chapter, and I think chapter 3 is Monkey Island. And those are sort of the 2 big places you get to go. Awesome, really cool.
Have you started Oberdin yet?
No, and that's another thing I'm just gonna do. Maybe tomorrow. I'll start Oberdin for the Game Mess Game Club. Because I basically have 10 days to do that. Well, it'll be fine. It's not like an incredibly long game, but I do have to go and play it. I'm sure I am going to enjoy it though, so I am looking forward to playing that. But there's a few things that, like, man, even like, oh, I want to play Final Fantasy 16. Well, I also did finally get a code for Fight Forever, and I actually kind of want to play that. It's fun. I still want to try out Exo Primal, kind of see where I stand on it, because it's so interesting to me to kind of hear, like, your thoughts on it. Some other people's thoughts. Like, it's a very, like, it's all over the place kind of game with people, so I want to see where I land on that. And then Pikmin 4 tomorrow. So it's crazy. And still playing.
Basically tonight, right? Yeah.
Yeah, basically tonight. And I'm still playing those Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, like pretty, like I'm good ways into 5 now. Just really enjoying that. Loving playing that again. So there are still just a ton of games to play.
Man. Yeah, I'm moving towards the end of Zelda. Although every time I started up, I played some more last night and a little bit this morning. And it's, I'm like, oh man, I see a blank spot on the map. I'm gonna go clear that in.
So
underground.
Did you take my advice to try to like move the main story over forward just a little bit?
That is my intention, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna clean up this and this and this. But that is like the next big thing that I go to do. That is like a big important thing. Actually, the next thing I'm gonna do is I found all the tiers, and then something else happened, and I'm gonna go do that.
Ah, there you go.
So then I'm gonna go continue and do what you said of try to move the main story forward. But that, like, those are they're lined up. Everything's in place. I just got to go do it. And then I just got to pull myself away from like this obsession with clearing out the underground map. But I'm pretty close to doing that. Honestly, if I do a couple more, I'll be pretty much ready. So yeah, I don't know. It's one of those games I want to finish. I really want it because I'm like, oh, I want to move on, but I am still having a really good time playing it. And then other than that, I don't. It's been mostly that. I really enjoyed Exo Primal, what we played of it. I've been playing another game for review. I'll be able to talk about that next week. So that's kind of been taking up my time
Remnant
as well.
2 embargo come up? Weren't you playing that?
Is Remnant 2 up? Okay, that's right. I think
is that the game you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what the game I'm talking about. Is that? I guess that probably is.
I thought I thought I saw review scores for it. Maybe I'm making that up.
It's either today or tomorrow, and I can't remember because I was like, we're gonna play it tomorrow.
It's today. There's review scores up.
Okay, fantastic. I'm thinking of the live streaming embargo is what I'm thinking of. Yeah, okay, it's good. I think when I played at SGF, they gave me like, a leveled character, and I was right in the thick of shit. And at that point, it's fantastic. At the start, it's a little bit like, okay, you're gonna have to talk to people and get things in place. And there's not too much of that. It is like, just go to town, talk to this person, talk to this person, talk to this person. I kind of wish it would just be like, here's everything you need, just here it is, go. But it's not. You're gonna have to talk to one person after another to like get your gear and learn who you need to talk to in town to do this stuff. But that didn't take all that long.
This is supposed to be like take inspirations from Souls-like, and like those games are very good about that. Like the actual From Software Souls games, of you are just playing the game pretty early on.
Yep, and it's I think that is it's a little annoying, but it's not much of a problem because then once you're playing, it feels good. The shooting feels good. The action feels good. The enemies are cool. Graphically, it looks amazing. It is a very good looking game. Like technologically and artistic wise. So yeah, I'm very much into it, and we're gonna try to do a 3-player quick look, and we'll try to get that up before like maybe early next week, something like that. So we'll see, or maybe like later tomorrow. Actually, we'll see. We're going to record it soon, so yeah.
We did have that Double Dragon Gaiden quick look that went up this week. That was fun. I'm excited to play more Double Dragon.
Yep, still super into that. Double Dragon is a ton of fun. You played more Viewfinder as well, and that is a good one of those solve 'em ups, which is the term I'm choosing.
Solve 'em up.
Yes, that's the term. Someone in chat mentioned that because Dan's like, we need a term for this, and I don't think he liked that, but I really like solve 'em up. So
solve them. So stop.
Yes, yes. I'm not gonna say that, but yes.
Why? I like it. Stop.
I don't know.
What's wrong with stop?
I feel like it doesn't get the point across.
You just don't like it because I came up with it.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. I just feel like I'm playing stup. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like shmup is shoot 'em
up. No, shmup. Yeah, I get it. Yes, I know.
Solve
but I also wouldn't say shmup.
Well, then you're a bad person.
I say shmup is like what Europeans call it. By the way,
shouts to Battle Garega from 1996. I think there's no chance to get that one on there. But there you go.
Yeah, Viewfinder is also a pretty good. It doesn't seem like it's all that long. I think that's good. Don't overstay your welcome. But the core conceit of you can take photographs and then you can hold those photographs up, pin them to the world, and then walk into those photographs. That's the core. There's a lot of riffs, like a lot more riffs on that general idea than what you're expecting. But it also is not like a million more rifts, so you're going to be playing this game for 30 hours. It is going to be like a couple hours, and I think that's pretty cool.
I heard this. Does this game have jokes?
It has talking and things that might sound like it's not like trying to be like, hoo-hoo, we're having a wild time here, guys. It is much more
That's a good voice.
thanks. It's much more just like the people are like having conversations and they're being jovial, but it's like kind of, it feels
like a game
very
that should be silent too,
Yes.
right?
Absolutely. I think it would be much better served if it was mostly quiet. There's a cat that you talk to. I think maybe if that is just you talk to the cat, that would have been fine. But I'm not. The dialogue does not enhance the feeling of the world. The world itself does the job just fine. You know, you get all these little sprinkles of, oh, you are in a simulation, and outside of the simulation, the pod that you're in is your apartment, and that apartment is, and then outside that apartment is a red world that is filled with dust and death, and you like, what happened here? Let's go back in the
Dust and
simulation.
death.
Yeah, where it's like it's all green and pretty, and you saw a tree for the first time in your life, and it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, yeah, I think that it's not ruining it for me, but it's not adding much to it. But that's like the negative thing to say about the game. Really, my bottom line take on it is if you were impressed by seeing the visuals of someone holding up the picture and walking into it, that is what the game is, and it delivers on that repeatedly. I don't know. I played a little bit more of the Capcom beat 'em up collection. I went and played some of those the Dungeons and Dragons games they had. They're so much simpler than I want them to be, but they're still pretty fun. I wish they were a little bit more complicated.
There's one on there that is more complicated, and it has one of the weird names, but it's a lot of fun. I gotta look it up, Capcom. But yeah, I know what you mean, especially because Streets of Rage 2 did kind of change the game there. You're absolutely right. Is it Battle Circuit? Battle Circuit is pretty cool. That's the one where you can play as the girl on a pink ostrich.
Okay. Well, that sounds cool.
Battle Circuit. Battle Circuit is really fun. I liked Armored Warriors a good bit too.
I just like the idea of a Dungeons and Dragons one. So it's like, oh, the King of Dragons and all this stuff. It's like that. This seems like a good fit. You know, it's class based. You can level up, and it's like, yeah, all that stuff's there, but it's an arcade game. They're not reliant. Like, it's not like even Gauntlet Legends where it's like, oh, you could insert your initials in your N64 memory card and save your character and come back and stuff like that. It's like so far away from that. It's much more basic.
There is an inherent problem with like these beat 'em ups made for arcade, where it is like you are just supposed to die a lot. Actually, like Final Fight, the kind of funny thing there is there's that exploit with a guy where if you do like 2 punches to the right, 1 to the left, 2 punches on the guy, the one the opposite direction, you can actually kind of get them in loops. And if you get good at that, you can do kind of fun things that make you last longer than maybe you're supposed to. That's fun. Final Fight sure is impressive. We remember that game came out in 1989.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yep. It was really advanced, and I mean, all these games look really good. I think the pixel art in all of them is very excellent. But I've been in a beat 'em up mood, so I figured I'd check that out.
Hey, maybe you should go and play River City Girls 1.
Yeah, I should. It's time. It is 100% time.
I'm going to check out 2 soon. They have to have fixed it. I know they fixed it on PC. They hope they fixed that console version by now. That'd be insane if they haven't.
I'll make time for them. All right, but that does it for me, Mike. We should wrap the show up after you read the rest of the super chats.
Oh, yes. Good point there, Jeff. Hey, thank you, Luminaris. Thank you for becoming a Lincoln member. Appreciate that. Burrito says, I just accepted a new job that could be great. Please have a margarita and wish me luck. Hey, I wish you luck.
Yeah, congratulations, Burrito.
There's booze in this, though, so there you go. Shigeru Miyamoto says, I got the idea of Bowser being thrown by Mario after my wife did this to me. It's one of my top kinks. I wish Cool Chris did this to me. Mario 64. Please, don't you, I heard you were cheating on the Nintendogs this week. Were you appearing on any other big popular Nintendo podcasts?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll see what happens next week when the episode comes out. Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. Yep. I didn't realize it was a secret. Actually,
I don't think it's not. I'll be on the Kit and Krista podcast next week. So yeah, if you want to hear me talk about that, they were very kind. And then I told them about you breaking that embargo, and we laughed and laughed.
Yeah, you better.
It was mostly just them being like, "Oh yeah, I was involved in the embargo." They were very confusing. Like, well, basically, they apologized to you, Mike. So there you
incredible.
go. Yep.
I want my apology in person, especially now. That's the now they have to apologize for putting you on the show and not me. So
I'm so bummed because like I saw them at SGF and they're like, that's what Kip reached out. He's like, I saw you at SGF, but we were so busy. I'm like, yeah, I wish I would have came and said hi. And they're like, we would have loved to be on the Giant Bomb couch. I was basically like, fuck, I would have loved to have you on there. God, I really regret not having you on there. So great. Next time for sure.
Oh, you do the Nintendogs, Kid and Krista, like power couch. That'd be great.
That'd be fantastic. I would love that.
Yeah. Let's see here now. Grug says Mike is having the angriest staycation ever. I'm so sorry, everybody. Bringing it back.
Staycation Angry 3D. It's like Drive Angry 3D.
I like that.
With Mike Minotti.
Connell Wood says, doing our budget, my wife asked about the YouTube chat costs. Joked it was for those bizarre NPC videos. The truth was, of course, more embarrassing. Wow. Coke Zero's so good. Yum.
Yum. Gang gang.
Darachi says, more like Trash Bandicoot. Wow.
That sounds pretty fair to me.
You all better play Crash Bandicoot 4 when it shows up on Game Pass inevitably.
Crash Bandicoot 4 is pretty good.
Very good. Love that game. That is it for the super chats.
Not a lot of like running towards the camera in Crash Bandicoot 4. Not a lot of it.
Why don't you just shut the hell up?
Okay,
why don't you talk about cheese pizza for babies some more?
I never said I just said it's a kid's food, and I love food for kids. That's like most of my diet.
Kids food?
It's like hot dogs.
Cheeseburger kids foods?
Cheese. I mean, like if you got like a plain cheeseburger, I would say that feels like a kid's food, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, cheeseburger.
I like cheeseburgers.
Yeah. You gave me a burger with just cheese on it, I'll eat it. But I mean, I much prefer it with other stuff on it because of the contrast, just like a pizza. But yeah, whatever.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yeah, where can people find you on the internet? Actually, you know what? I lost that poll when I asked on Twitter, like 45 to like 55. It's like in that range. And you know what? That only makes me more confident because I'm like, that's right. That's where I am with my opinions. The masses can't handle it. But deep down, the cool people, the 45%, they get me.
Follow Mike at Koto.
Thank you.
Mike, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, Koto, Twitch, Twitter. Go to Games Beat. I haven't been working this week, but they have been doing good stuff. I saw Rachel was in here earlier, so yeah, support everybody at Games Beat, please.
I'm Jeff Grubb on Twitch and Twitter and all that stuff. Blueski. I'm on the Blueski.
Blueski.
Yeah, I'm on the Blueski. That's the one I actually enjoy using. Although I don't really enjoy using any of them anymore. I do Twitter because out of like not just obligation, but like out of like a habit. Like it's just what I've done, so I keep doing it.
Right. That's where you can make fun of me and people will see it. So
exactly. So I keep doing that. I'm gonna keep doing it. There's no threat of me at all ever pulling out of this stuff, but using it a little bit less, but whatever. If you want to get a hold of me.
Using the phrase "pulling out" today.
I have used that. I tried to. Did you notice earlier when I tried to like soften that? I was like pull out of the nosedive. Did you see that?
I did.
And you knew what was happening.
Yeah, you said entity like 3 times on the game this morning.
Keep saying entity. You can't take that away from me. Pulling out. There's no. Yeah, pulling out is just me saying the words pulling out, and it's like, oh my god, I can't. I gotta not do that. Hey everybody. Fuck this show.
For a motherfucker that eats hot dogs from a gas station, like they're fucking.
Yeah, I love kids food. I said that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, that's how I know. That's what makes me an expert on the subject.
Wave Race 64.
Wave Race 64.
Jesus.
A real video game.
Thank God it didn't come out in 1998. Thank God.
Enjoy your gaming.
Oh, let's freaking go.